Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How y'all doing? My name is Eric. We have the latest updates surrounding Manchester United. Transfer battle is heating up for the striker position. We have news around Cunha, Osimhen, Delap, EKITIKE, GYOKERES, Wharton, and Bruno Fernandes. We're gonna get into all of that stuff. Please smash the like button for us if you can, because it massively helps the channel out and we greatly appreciate it. So if you want to help us out, just smash that like button. It takes 2 seconds and it's a massive help. Very, very important. If you're new and you enjoy the content, then please subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell icon so you get the notifications when we go live. We are live weekly. We're coming back to football. The international break is pretty much over. United plays soon. We will be doing a Red Devil recap, which is we recap the matches. We do live player ratings and all that good stuff. So make sure you're there for that. But let's get into the first thing, which is apparently, depending on maybe how you want to read it, Matheus Cunha might have possibly snubbed Manchester United. He is going to be on the move in the summer. These are his own words. He's made a statement. And yeah, we'll get into it because I know a lot of United fans, they want Cunha, they like Cunha, they think he's a good player. And this is what Matheus Cunha has had to say on his future. It was a little bit longer sentence, but he pretty much summed it up by saying that he's made it clear to Wolves that he needs to take the next step and he wants to fight for titles and he wants to fight for big things. And when you take that statement at face value, considering where Manchester United are and where Manchester United have been, sure, we've won FA Cup and we've won a Carabao Cup, but this season, you know, if we don't win the Europa League, we're not going to win any trophies, and we're nowhere near challenging for the Premier League. So it depends how you take this statement. He could still come to United. He could still say that, well, United still fight for some trophies. They've won some trophies recently, in the recent history, not the Premier League and not the Champions League. But when you look at it, comparing to the bigger teams, well, not the bigger teams, but the better teams that are performing better us on the pitch, that are fighting for the bigger titles, such as the Champions League or the Premier League, this statement certainly feels a little bit to me like, you know, he's not really looking at United. He's probably looking at maybe an Arsenal or, you know, one of the other clubs that are up there. So it's a little bit interesting. I guess we're going to see how this goes. I know many United fans desperately want Cunha. They think he would be perfect for the 10 role. I don't necessarily disagree. You know, he's a good player. He's Premier League proven in that aspect. And I think he would be a good addition to Manchester United and to our squad and to Ruben Amorim's system. But you know, when you kind of read between the lines on this statement here, I just feel like United at its current state is not that fits the bill of this statement. You know, he wants to fight for titles. We're not fighting for the Premier League and we're not fighting for the Champions League. And if we don't win the Europa League, then we're not going to be in Europe, so we're not going to be in any European competition, and we won't be challenging for the Premier League next season. So, you know, what difference really is it going to make between him being at Wolves and you know, playing for an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup and being at United and playing for a FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, and you know, maybe trying to fight for top 4. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's probably a bit of a downer for some of the people that want Matheus Cunha, but also, you know, we still have 2 months of a season left. We're still in the Europa League, so let's see what happens with Manchester United. We can possibly win the Europa League. I feel like we have good chances of winning it. I think you look at us and you look at the teams, you look at the way we've performed in the Europa League this season, and it's been quite well. It's been a lot better than the Premier League, of course. When you look at the Premier League and you look at the table and you look at our performances and results, it doesn't make you feel so strong about United. But then when you look at our record in Europe, we've done actually very well. Ruben Amorim has done very well since he's come in and taken over Manchester United, and our record in Europe is good. So I feel kind of highly that we will make it to the final, and then we have to get over that line, and we have to win that, and I hope we do, because it'll be important for the squad, but it'll be important for Ruben Amorim. I think it'll buy Ruben Amorim a lot of credit in the bank. It'll probably give him a little bit more power, probably in the sense that the players will probably have more confidence, and even some of our fans that are doubting him, his system, his tactics, and if he was the right manager or not. So yeah, I mean, I think we could, let's see what happens. I think that's very much the sentiment around Manchester United at the current moment. It's really a wait and see. Even Fabrizio Romano, he gave us an update about Victor GYOKERES, and even he said it's kind of a wait and see based on the transfer budget, which we're going to get into as well. So, but real quick before we shift to the other stories, let me just shout out the chat. How you doing, guys? Lions is in here, Lyle is in here, Grace is in here, a wonderful moderator. RSV is in here as well. Axe Lord is back as well. Good to see you. Ray is in here as well. Some of our guys coming back. I went on a hiatus. I went missing for a little bit. I think we did 2 shows. Some of you were there, some of you haven't been, some of you are back, so it's good to see you all. I hope all of you are doing very, very good. Grace said she's eating dinner at the moment, but she will be watching in the background. Well, very good. Well, listen, we're going to discuss some news. I didn't mention this in the beginning of the show. My fault. We're going to discuss a little bit of news. There's not too much news. We're going to kind of fly through it. And from the community wants to build a team. So we're going to attempt at building a team. It's kind of, it's not really structured. We're kind of just going to wing it and go for it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm sure it'll be fun. And then also, I want to do a little bit of player ratings for the season so far. We'll just call out the players, and we'll kind of try and give them a rounded score of how they performed for the season so far. And then we can do maybe a little bit of ifs and ands or buts. Maybe one of the things, and I could give you a thought about it, would go something like, would you sell Alejandro Garnacho if it meant that we can sign Tyler Dibbling instead? So kind of a swap type of thing. So we're going to do all those things today. A little bit of a free-for-all. And it'll be a little bit of a change of our normal direction, which is good. I'm excited for it. But Lions saying that I like Cunha as a player. His recent behavior has completely put me off. He would do us more harm than good, I believe. Well, I would like you to explain that a little bit further. In terms of what do you mean by his recent behavior? Give us just a couple examples or something, Lions, so I can delve a little bit more into that, because I haven't been following him too much, but I as far as I can think right now, I don't necessarily see an issue in the way that he's kind of been behaving. But yeah, make your points, and we'll get into it. RSV says big up. So far, aside from the Lit signing, I've been slightly impressed with other signings under Ineos. Yeah, we'll get into that as well. RSV saying Delit, in my opinion, is in VVD Rio Vidic company level of a transfer that can bolster the defense and help guide them to a major title. Well, I think Delit's been good this season. I think he's been a good signing for us, and I think he's been a good player. I actually think that Delit's been getting I don't think it's from Manchester United fans. I think it's from outside people, pundits and people that aren't Manchester United fans, and maybe some of our ex-players. I think he's gotten some unfair criticism. They started quite early on him, especially when they were hitting him when he was playing for Netherlands. He made a mistake here and there, but the pundits were really going in on him before he even started really, playing for us. It's his first season. playing for Manchester United, first season in the Premier League. Sure, he's got some experience at some other big teams, but still. And I think he's done pretty well, and I think he actually is a solid player. I think he's a solid guy. And I look forward to seeing him grow more into the role. I think RSV makes a fair point. He's not maybe on the level of VVD Rio Vidic company level at this moment, but I feel like he has the attitude, the personality to sort of mold himself into that at Manchester United. And Manchester United is a difficult place to kind of be that player at the moment. Anyway, we've seen how many players come to Manchester United at our current state, and it eats them alive. So it's not an easy place to become that player either. I think we have to factor that in. But I think he's been fairly solid for his first season in here. I think. He's had a match here and there where it wasn't great, but he's had a match where, he's been very, very good, and he looks like a very solid guy. And I think he carries himself well, which is important when you're at a club the size of Manchester United and the scrutiny that it comes with. So RSV says for striker, we need a ready-made elite, no potential. I think that's probably what 95% of the fan base is saying. And I think, because it's obvious, we do need a ready-made guy to lead the line, especially again with the current state of us. We need strong, experienced kind of leaders. And we can't. We have potential there. We can add a little bit more potential in places, in other positions. There's no problem with that, but we have to start mixing it with a little bit more experience and already sort of molded type of players, because I think we're missing that in certain key areas. And and some of the players that are experienced, such as like Lindelof and Christian Eriksen, and even Casemiro, like these players are either potentially going to go, or they're definitely going to go. So we're going to lose a little bit of that experience side, so we're going to have to add some more experience into it as well, so we can keep a nice balance in the squad. So Ray says we can win the Europa Cup without not losing one game. Listen, we've performed pretty well. We performed pretty well in Europe. Ruben Amorim's record, when he took over, it's not great in the Premier League, and I think that's because it's an adjustment period for him. For the Prem, it's a different league, but I think Europe is Europe, and he was doing it in the Champions League at Sporting, and he's playing in the lower level of Europe in the Europa League, and I think that's why that's done okay there. I think that's why he's done well there, and I think he's still adjusting to the Prem, and he's adjusting to United, and United are adjusting to him, and United are adjusting to the tactics. So it's sort of been a mess there, but it's kind of worked out decently well in the Europa League. So, the hopes obviously for everybody is that we do win it. It's important, not just for status, but also for money. We need the money. Winning that Europa League is going to allow us, it's going to open up the transfer book for us. So it's sort of a do or die type of thing. And the pressure is on. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the squad handles it, how Ruben Amorim handles it and navigates through it, and if we can get over the line, because it's a tough task for what the season has been. So it's important. Axlord saying people think Dibbling is great, but he is currently a bit over average with and with potential 100 million is crazy. Even 50 million is crazy. Well, 100 million is definitely crazy. It's definitely an insane price tag. There was another player around his age, Crystal Palace player, that's also been quoted for 100 million. That is highly sought after. So I think we're seeing a bit of craziness going on in the Premier League. Definitely, Premier League clubs are interested in these other Premier League players. So nobody's gonna pay. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody, but it's insane to pay these fees for these players. But at the same time, these clubs are trying to cash in. I mean, you know, they're selling to other Premier League clubs that are interested. And they have high potential, as you mentioned. So I guess for them, it makes sense to ask for such a high fee. I don't think they'll go for such high fees, but I think they're jacking them up to try and get as much money as possible. And you know, we'll see what happens on that front. But no, I do agree. I mean, 100 million is crazy. 50 million, it's a bit expensive, but I can understand it because, again, your Premier League club, you don't necessarily have to sell these players anymore. The Premier League has changed. These clubs that are considered smaller clubs, like a Crystal Palace or, you know, like a Southampton, for example, who are even going to get relegated, they still don't necessarily need the money as they once did, maybe back in the day, where, you know, you would take their best player for next to nothing. So, you know, it is a difference in that. But yeah. RSV says EKITIKE still needs one more season in order to prove himself to be a proven elite ready-made talent. I think he needs a little bit more than that. I think he's fairly young. And he would definitely, in my opinion, fit under the potential category for me. The players that I considered, you know, when I look at him and I compare him to Osimhen, he's not as ready-made. He's not as Osimhen. He's not as ready-made and experienced as Victor GYOKERES. He's not there. He needs more years playing. He is a potential. He has some good talent already for his age, and he's having a good season. But I still think he falls under potential. I mean, he plays in the Bundesliga. We've seen players come from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. We've seen them sort of struggle. We've seen them sort of, you know, some of them, they take a little bit and they do come good, and some of them, they just completely fail. So I think with EKITIKE, which we're going to get into in a second, is a bit more of a risk. He's still young. He's had, you know, this one good season that's kind of put him on the map, kind of put him on the radar. I agree that he probably needs another season like this before, you know, we could really be about it. But the transfer battle around him is really heating up. There's multiple clubs interested in him, including us. So it's you know, these things happen as well. It's more like, you know, you have the potential to lose that player because other clubs can afford to take this chance, to take the risk and kind of pounce on the player and take them, even if they're not ready. And United aren't really in that position. I mean, because we have two strikers that we've taken on potential. We've paid, you know, decently high fees for them, and we don't have somebody that is ready-made. So it's either you believe in this kid's potential, and you're gonna try and work with him, and you're gonna have to give him another season, or you're gonna have to potentially miss out on him and go for the ready-made striker. And this is where United finds itself in. It's a dilemma, in an aspect. Axe says nobody is worth 100 million coming from a low tier club. Let's be honest, it's definitely overpriced. I mean, yeah, from that aspect, no, but you know, from a low tier club, no, and I don't think anybody's going to necessarily pay 100 million for these players. I mean, Arsenal paid they paid 100 million for Declan Rice, but Declan Rice was well established, you know, by the time that Arsenal came around, and I think, you know, anybody would pay 100 million right now for Declan Rice anyway. So they had a good buy there. I think some of these players like Dibbling, he has good potential. You could see he has something about his game, but there's hasn't been a consistency level of him doing it for, like, you know, 3 seasons in the Premier League. And you know, his GA isn't that great either. You know, he has something about him. You could see it in his game. But he needs more time to be proven anywhere to be around that price tag. Or the other players. So you know, Newcastle want at least 150 million for Isaac. And that's understandable because Newcastle is in a higher position. They're the richest club in the world, and Isaac has been here for a couple seasons. And he's certainly proved himself this season. He's probably considered the best striker, or one of the best strikers. I mean, some people would say Erling Haaland, but I think Isaac is more of a complete player than Erling Haaland. I think Isaac can do things that Erling Haaland cannot do, which makes him more important in my opinion. And and rightfully so, because if Isaac is going to be sold, unless they sell him to a team outside the Premier League, the prices are always going to be jacked up. So yeah, the player in terms of ability, does it reflect his value? No, but there's other things always factored in there. It's, are you selling, if Newcastle sells Isaac to Arsenal, well, you have to factor in the price of, well, we're selling them to competition. So you're going to have to you're going to have to compensate us. And then, these things are normal in football. They always happen. Ray says, play the kids, make them learn the new system. Well, I think that's what he's doing. I know we haven't been around for a little bit, but just catching up on the news, he has called up a bunch of young players. They have been training with the squad. I think we're going to see them feature a little bit more as we get towards more of the end of the season. I think we'll see them also feature, for the preseason when we get to preseason. And I think he is ramping up that part. And I think that's going to play probably a big part, especially if we don't win the Europa League, because he's going to have to bring in new bodies, new players. So I think that's part of Ruben Amorim's plan. I do believe that, because he's done it at Sporting and it worked for him, and he's not afraid to do that. When I speak to my Sporting friend, he tells me all the time, it was one of the things that he did, that he, there was certain experienced players there. He benched them, iced them out. You can think of kind of like a Rashford, and he bring up some younger players and played them over them, probably because they were hungry, and there's room to mold them and develop them and make them fit the system and understand the system. So I think that's a work in progress, Ray. I do agree. I think it'll help him, and I think he wants to do it. But I think at the same time, again, we have to have a little bit of patience of that. I think he's making moves towards doing it, but we can't just throw them in. I think that's going to take a little bit of time, but I think by next season, I think we'll see a couple more. He's already showed a little bit of signs. I think he was holding out for a little bit, and then the injuries came in and kind of forced him to do it a little bit earlier than maybe he would have liked. But I do think it's part of his plan. I do think it's, in his head. I think it's something that he does actually want to do. So, and Lyle says the price tag is only there to fend off suitors, and heck, if they get that much, then it's a bonus for Southampton. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of back and forth. I think, number one, I think that they're well aware that, they are smaller clubs, and these bigger clubs, they have a lot more to offer. So they are afraid of losing their top talents at the club, and they want to make sure that they can get compensated as much as possible. So it's to fend off suitors, and it's also, I guess, a plan for, when they do eventually lose these players, that they do get compensated the highest amount, and they don't, from their standpoint, get ripped off. Because, yes, you're paying for potential, you're paying for hype, but, if Tyler Dibling becomes one of the best players in the Premier League 3 or 4 seasons from now, Southampton will look at it and be like, well, we sold him for 40, and, we could have got 70 for him, or 80, or he's worth 100 now. He's worth 100. So they're just looking after themselves. But, I don't think these players will go for those prices. But let's go to the striker race, because there's been a lot of news around strikers, and we all know, as RSV has pointed out, that, we need experienced striker, and that's one of the big talks for Manchester United. One of the big focuses for Manchester United in this upcoming transfer window is going to be the strikers. So one of the pieces of news has come out about Victor Osimhen. Again, has been linked to Manchester United for months now. And this update came saying that Victor Osimhen's representatives have informed Saudi Pro League clubs that he wants to play in the Premier League next season. The reports also adds that he'd be willing to join Manchester United even if they don't qualify for the Champions League. Well, if this is to be considered true and factual, that's kind of fantastic for us in considering our position. You know, whereas Cunha is saying that he wants to fight for titles, you know, and we might not be able to offer him that, while other clubs like Arsenal, or Liverpool, or, you know, City or whatever, can offer him that, and we might not necessarily be able to. Victor Osimhen is one that many United fans want, and it seems like he has a strong interest in joining Manchester United based off of the reports that keep coming out, that, you know, he seems like he likes Manchester United and he'd be willing to join Manchester United. So much so that even if we don't qualify for the Champions League, which means that we don't win the Europa League, and we won't be in Europe, he is still willing to join us, and he is one of the few. I mean, there's not many out there, really. You know, maybe if you guys have some other thoughts, I certainly can't think of any off the top of my head, but I really don't think there's many of these sort of experienced strikers that are good, that we can go and get, or that would want to actually join us. And he is certainly one. So, you know, if we do end up getting him, I'll welcome it. I think he's a good player. I like him. I wanted him a few seasons ago. You know, it kind of seemed like it was dead because he ended up not really leaving Napoli, and Napoli were asking for crazy prices. Obviously, things have progressed and transpired there at Napoli that have made this thing a potential. So we got to see. But yeah, I think he's definitely one. For me, between the two, the experienced strikers is him and Victor GYOKERES. I don't really see anybody else that fits that mold. So I think if we are going to get the experienced strikers, we got to get him or we got to get GYOKERES. And I think then it's a personal choice between which one you like more. I don't really see, you know, what it could, what else it could be. Lion says, how much would his wages be though? He's already earning a ton. Ray says, who pay top money for these players need to buy to fit the system. And Axe says he also has to prove himself at the level of Man United. But Southampton, if he plays well, he gets the hype. If he plays bad, people would say he would have been relegated anyway. Well, that's fair. Axe says, unpopular opinion, Osimhen is another old player ready to cash in big at United before retiring. He would buy ourselves another Zlatan. Too little, too late. He's a bad option and all. Well, I mean, fair enough. That's your opinion, Axe. I don't really feel that way about him, because I don't think he's that old. I think he's all right in terms of fitness as well. And considering the way Ineos are operating, I understand we suffer from PTSD with overpaying players and mercenaries coming and, you know, overpaying them and giving them a ridiculous wage and them coming and not performing, and completely overpaying, because no one's going to earn that amount of money unless you're, you know, Ronaldo, Messi, or Mbappe. You know, and we're talking about wages of 300K plus. We've had many examples of that. Alexis Sanchez, you know, Di Maria didn't even want to come to Manchester United and joined anyway, and that was a disaster as well. Zlatan was too little too late, even though he still did decently well for his age, but it was too little too late. But I think Osimhen is, you know, he's still of age, he still has years to offer, and I think he's a good talent. So, and I don't necessarily worry, because I look at how Ineos did the signings so far, and I think they've paid good fees, and I think the wages that they put the players on While maybe they're not perfect to your ideal of how much you want to pay, they certainly have been better than what we've done in the past. So I think they're on top of that right now. I wouldn't expect them to pay a ridiculous transfer fee for Osimhen and then also give him crazy wages. So I mean, but we have to wait and see to see how the deal transpires. But I'm not really too worried about that. I think they're doing a decently good job around those aspects. And I think we'll probably, if we do end up getting Osimhen, it would be for what most people would consider a fair price and a fair wage. You know, so Osimhen is only 26, as Lines points out. So Axe says, let's just buy some move from Porto. End of discussion. I mean, yeah, I mean, he could be one. I don't think he's on the radar of Manchester United. From what I heard, that we have been scouting him. We scout tons of players, so we pretty much scout everybody anyway. But he's having a good season at Porto. You know, he has strengths, he has talents. He's a bit of a unicorn in my opinion, because he's very, very tall, but he's also very, very mobile for being very, very tall. And he has good qualities for a striker. But I would say, yet again, this is his one season. He's playing in the Portuguese league. And does he necessarily fit the mold of an experienced striker? I don't think so. I think he's one that fits into the potential category again. So it's a bit of a mixed bag at United right now, because we have some transfer targets, strikers. They're young, they're good, they have talent, but there's potential, and we have to, we're pulling them from other leagues. And we would have to take the risk of getting them from other leagues. Now, obviously, Osimhen is coming from another league, but he is experienced, and he's more molded already. And so is GYOKERES. The thing with GYOKERES is that he has experience with English football. He played in the championship. So there's different types of factors that are going in there around these sorts of players. Grace says, bring back my boy Rashford. Grace falling into the hype trap. We were discussing a little bit in the group chat that we have that, Grace was putting up the point that, why wasn't he doing these things at Manchester United that he's doing at Villa? Obviously, he scored a goal today, albeit it was a penalty, but he's been playing good at Aston Villa, which is fine. I'm not one of these people. I think some of our fans out there have a hard time dealing with these sort of things. They see Rashford going there and playing better, and they have like FOMO, and they almost like, oh, just bring him back, but we've talked about this and we've said this, and I was kind of prepared for this. Like, whatever you think about Marcus Rashford, whether he's a talent or he's not a talent, or whatever it is, there's just something with him and his relationship at Manchester United clearly was affecting his attitude and his mentality. He's gone to Aston Villa. It's something new for him. It's something fresh. He's playing in sort of a different system. It's a different ethos. It's a different atmosphere. And he has a main focus of getting back into England, which he has been called up so far by Thomas Tuchel. So he has something that he really wants to prove. He can't come back to Manchester United. I stand firm on this. He needs to go and do his thing, and we need to go and do our thing. I just, there is something there that just is not making him in the correct mindset when he's at Manchester United, whatever that is. I can argue that he's grown up through United. He's been in the first team for quite a amounts of years. Manchester United has had numerous projects that he has been involved in. And I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying that he has been a part of them that have failed. And those things are demoralizing, and maybe that affects him. And when he goes to Villa, they have, a different project. they have a different feeling around them, and maybe it allows him to play his best game. So that's why I think he does have to end up going somewhere else, because I just don't think it's a good environment for him. And we need a fresh start as well. So, you know, RSV says Ed Woodward only deserves credit for signing Diallo. Diallo has saved all of our lives. Well, yeah, I mean, I think he got a little bit lucky with that. I mean, they signed Diallo and they signed Palestri, and they didn't even have a plan for them. They didn't even know what they were doing with them. I didn't even know how they actually ended up signing them, because I don't think they actually know how they ended up signing them. I mean, if you remember, we signed them for decently good fees, and they didn't feature. And obviously, Palestri isn't even part of the club anymore. Diallo has come good, and he's been, you know, he was one of our best players this season up until he got injured, unfortunately. And hopefully we see him back soon. There's been some talk of him coming back, but you know, yeah, it was weird. You know, if you remember, we all thought that he was going to be part of the first team, and he never made it there, and ended up going on loan twice before actually making it. So I think they were just a little bit lucky on that one. I don't think they actually had any concrete idea of what they were doing with Diallo when they signed him. Lion says Dibbling has to prove himself, but Samu at 20 doesn't. I don't think that would be end of discussion, Axe. Well, fair point. RSV says Rashford was surrounded by bad personnel in that United dressing room, who were bad influence and have made him think that he is world class, which led him develop an ego and ultimately imploded. I think that's also part of the problem. But to be fair, those people are still around Rashford. They're still around Rashford. I think they just have sort of reorganized. And you know, again, remember, Rashford was holding out going to Barca. Like, in his mind, Villa is too low for him. He wants to go to Barca. I think he still wants to go to Barca. I think that's also a factor, that he's trying to play as good as possible because he needs to make Barca, he needs to make that pull for Barca stronger. And I think that's one of the things. So he has a bunch of incentives to play very well at Aston Villa right now. So, you know, again, I still think that sort of mindset is there with him. I think those people are still around him. I don't think they've gone anywhere. I think they're still there. I think they've kind of shifted their focus because they realized, well, the situation hasn't gone good. You're not playing for United. You're out of England. We need to get the brand back on track. So he held out for Barca. Barca couldn't do it because Barca has problems. And they said, listen, go to Villa. It's a loan. It's temporary. You know, they could offer to buy you. You don't have to necessarily accept that offer, but you can't really lose. You'll play there. You're going to get some playing time. They guaranteed it. It's in the Premier League. They're better. They're in a better position than United. They're in the Champions League. So it's a win-win-win-win-win for Marcus. So, but I still think his eye is going onto a club of the stature of Barcelona. I think they look at Villa and it seems a bit small for his brand. So I think he's still trying to go to Barca. But we got to wait and see for when the season ends and see how that transpires. Ahmad is overrated, says Grace, and currently injured. We can't just rely on him. We need more. Well, I don't think he's overrated. Maybe by some people, Grace. But he was performing very well. I think the issue that I think you've kind of alluded to is that, one, he is currently injured. We can't just rely on him because that's not a team. And we're kind of doing that with Bruno right now, right? And this is why some people say that Bruno is a problem. Because when Bruno plays well, he carries us and he helps us. And then when Bruno goes out of form, we tend to be shit. And we have one or two players like that, where if they go in form, they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But, you know, all players, or most players, they tend to go in and out of form. And when they go out of form, then they're overrated, then they're shit, then they're not as good as they are. And I think it's just a dynamic issue in the Manchester United squad. We don't have enough players that are quality, that stay in form for consistency amount of period, so that when for example, if Diallo does get injured or he does go out of form, we still have another 5 or 6 players that are in form, that are carrying the squad, that it doesn't really matter. Then Diallo will find his form back again and will be okay. Right now, I look at the squad and there's only a handful of people or players that are like that, and when they do go out of form, it is very, very much noticeable because the rest of the squad isn't pulling their weight and they're being carried. So we have to round out the squad, we have to round out the team, we have to make the team a team, because again, we're still not a team. You know, when I keep using them as an example because they're doing very well this season, but Nottingham Forest, again, I would argue they don't have world-class players, they don't have superstars, but they have made a team, and their players are playing good, they perform good, but they're performing well as a team. They fit each other, and we haven't had that for quite some time. We have to build that base, we have to build that foundation if we're going to get to where we want to be, and we don't have that. So RSV says, I mean specifically Pogba, Martial, and Lingard, who were bad influence to Rashford. Also, this may sound controversial, but people usually don't criticize Shaw and Grealish because of their skin color. Well, maybe it's a bit controversial, but, you know, there's probably definitely some aspects of that in the world. The world is a crazy place, and there's you'll find all types of things. But I think those are the minority people, RSV. But for sure, you know, we wouldn't dismiss it. They definitely exist. I've seen it for sure as well. You know, on social media, you'll find anything. But yeah, I mean, listen, Martial, I think, is one that gets a little bit unfair criticism in that aspect. I think most of them get unfair criticism in that aspect. Like, I understand it because we're publicly viewing them, and they had these social media type of things. And Martial to me was always a weird one because he didn't necessarily fit the brand aspect. Martial never did brand posts, commercials, sponsorships like Pogba, Lingard, and Rashford have done. Martial had a weird thing, you know, where people accused him because he never smiled, so he had a bad attitude, which I don't know if you could really say that. You know, sometimes it's just part of people. They don't smile. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person or a bad influence or whatever. You know, you would have to really know them behind the scenes, but it appeared that way. I give you that. RSV, it did appear that way. I even kind of felt that way at the time. You know, these guys would be going on social media doing these posts and you know, these brand sort of things, and we were shit. And it was very annoying to the fan base because we're like, dude, just shut up. You're not playing good. You don't get to promote your brand when United is doing shit, and you're part of the reason for it, you know? So, but I don't even think it's necessarily those players per se, RSV. I mean, they played a part, but that's United's fault because they're the ones that had them in the squad. And made them part of the team, and that's part of the issue of United building a squad and making sure that the ethos and the chemistry and, you know, having the correct mindset and the personality of players that fit together and go well and provide a good environment for everybody involved. But when I think of Marcus Rashford, I think more of the people behind the scenes that aren't players, his brother who is an agent, people that are close to him, his friends, you know, these people that are in the background that we don't know who they are, that are in his ear, that are constantly around him. I think those people are probably the bigger issue. And then also United, you know, wasn't running correctly, is still not running correctly, and they didn't provide an environment for players like Rashford to not fall down in that path. We didn't do the best job we could, like how we used to do in the past under Ferguson, and guide the players to a correct path and make sure that they don't fall off the path or they don't go down the wrong path. So, you know, it is like that. Shaw was also a bad influence, missed so many games. Whether deliberately missed a lot of those games or not, in a discussion for another day, but it was never held accountable, unlike Pogba. Yeah, well, I get that. I get that. Pogba was a lot more vocal though, and I think that's why he probably got a lot more of the stick, and also he was deemed a bigger player. And when you're deemed a bigger, more important player, you have a bigger target on yourself. You have to remember as well, like Mino Raiola, who was Pogba's agent at the time, would come out and make these statements before Champions League matches. You don't see Luke Shaw agent making those statements, but Luke Shaw would make stupid statements when he'd go to England. Luke Shaw is getting that brunt of the blame now. But I think he was being overshadowed at the time by the likes of people like Paul Pogba, etc., etc. Very, 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 very good points being put out here so far. I'm enjoying it. Box is in here as well. Box, good to see you. How you doing? Hope everything is well. Box says Shaw and Mount are always slated for their injuries, fitness, and quality. Yes. And those are players that I think we have to move on. I think Mount, unfortunately, I like him. I think he's a good player. But if you can't stay fit, you're no good to us. So they're both back in training. There was videos and pictures of them training yesterday. Mount doing his best to try and re-injure Harry Maguire, stamped on his foot in training when they were doing a little training exercise. So I don't know. I'm still willing to give Mason Mount another chance. He has 2 months of a season left. If he gets injured again, I think that's curtains closed. I still kind of feel that way anyway, but I think I think I could give him a little bit more rope. Luke Shaw is just done and dusted. He's one that we have to move on, but it's so difficult to gonna be able to move him on that I don't know if we're gonna be able to. So I think we're gonna be stuck with him. So, Fox says Maguire had the worst abuse than any player at MUFC, more than Pogba, Rashford, Lingard, and Sancho. Well, I think they all had their fair share. I don't think we have to maybe put them on I don't think we have to put them on like a graph and kind of compare them. They all took turns. Maguire's was very bad. I was part of it, but not in abuse, but I was highly critical of him. I didn't take it to the point of, you remember Maguire had bomb threats to his house. I wasn't participating in something like that, but I was there calling him shit. I was there telling him to shut up because he kept doing interviews and he kept playing like shit, and I didn't want to hear him speak. I just wanted him to prove himself on the pitch. And I was very highly critical of him. I do applaud him for turning things around, and he's been very good, when he's been available. Unfortunately, he's been a little bit injured here and there, but he's gone through that, and he's come out the other side of it, so he deserves praise and he deserves flowers for it, and he stuck to it, and that's all we really want to see from the players anyway. At the end of the day, I don't think there's really anybody. Rivals still banter about Maguire, but I think if you look at it now, United fans, they generally praise Maguire for it now. So he's come out the other side, and I think that's the number one thing, is that we just want our players to perform, and we want our players to show that they actually give a shit, and that they actually care, and it's not just like a payday and stuff like that. So Ray says Bruno has been nominated for EA Player of the Month as well as Goal of the Month versus Leicester. Also, our fraud manager nominated for Manager of the Month. Well, I think before the international break, we did end up. We were doing decently good, and so I think they do deserve to be nominated. Especially Bruno's been doing good, and Amorim has done a better job, in that period. So Grace thinks he's a fraud. I don't think he's a fraud. I think it's I don't think he's a fraud. Number one, he's a young manager, but a big step up for him. And again, I think there's many factors at United that are really out of his hand that make his job much tougher. I don't think there's any one manager in the world that you can go and pick up and put them at United, and they're going to have a good time, and they're going to have an easy time, and they're going to be successful right off the bat. So, I refrain from calling our managers or players frauds. Even Eric Ten Hag, Uh, you know, the second season, many fans were calling him a fraud. I wouldn't call him that. I still wouldn't call him that. You know, at the end, I asked for him to be sacked. But I still wouldn't call him a fraud. I don't agree with those sorts of things. But to each their own. If you want to do that, then that's for you. Elias Maguire was horrible on the pitch. He got abused for sure, and it was wrong. But his performances did not help him. I love his redemption arc, though, very professional, and that's something to admire. I mean, his redemption arc has been very professional. The way he's sort of conducted himself through it, and you know, he even had that incident in Greece. I mean, it was, you know, there was nothing right that could have went for him. So, and but he come out through the other side, and he stuck with it, and he showed and proved people wrong, and that's what we need people to do. And I respect him for that, because he showed a side of mentality and strength, which I questioned under his captaincy. But I think also that also played a part. It's you know, you've taken the scrutiny and the importance of the captaincy away from him. And I think it's allowed him to focus on his game, and go a little bit into the background and just be a good player for Manchester United. Just be a solid player. Now he still has his faults. You know, he's still slow. If he comes up against a very fast-paced player, he will get burned for pace, especially if you play high up. But he's been pretty good as we go. So let's get through the rest of this, because we're about 50 minutes into the show. I don't want it to run so long. I want to build this squad out. So let's get to this. But very good discussions so far. But we had that Osimhen update. Another striker we had, Delap update. Jason Wilcox, apparently, big fan of Liam Delap. And it is said he's pushing for a move to happen. So, Premier League player for this season. They're obviously going to get relegated, so there might be a potential to do a deal there. He's obviously one that is highly sought after. Probably one that is going to be a high transfer fee asked for, considering the amount of Premier League clubs that want him, and you know, Ipswich know that all the Premier League clubs have money, so they're going to ask for a high fee. I think he's a good player, but he's one that fits in the potential category. Again, he's not Osimhen and he's not GYOKERES. So we have a mixed bag here. It's going to be interesting. I think if United don't get GYOKERES or Osimhen, I think there's going to be a large amount of fans that are going to be sort of furious. But then I think there's also going to be a large amount of fans that are going to be happy, because they're going to buy into the hype of these sorts of players, like a Delap or EKITIKE, you know, because they're young, they're potential, and they're good. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Ineos actually do, and who they get for Ruben Amorim. I think, you know, these things are going to have a big impact on how Ruben Amorim is going to do next season. So we're still in a wait and see period. Lion says Delap worries me. I was all in for Ferguson from Brighton, and he was shit in his second season, and that's kind of the thing that we're kind of saying here. Like, you know, these players, whether you get them from the Premier League or not, they're still a risk. And can we actually take that risk? And I think many of us will say no, and I think many of us don't actually want to. I think, I mean, they're all risks, but I think these guys are bigger risks because they're having one good seasons. They're very young, and their career can go one way or the other. And I think it's a good point by Lions like Ferguson. Ferguson was very hyped up last season. This season has gone very, very wrong for him. He's also suffered some injuries. And his value has gone down, or his hype has gone down, and people aren't so interested in him as they were the previous season. So, I think that's why many of us are asking for we need the experienced striker, because we've done the potential risk with Højlund and even Xerxes, and we need somebody that is gonna kind of sort of hit the ground running, and one that we don't necessarily have to develop too much, that can lead the line and take the pressure off. And Delap doesn't fit that. He doesn't fit that. EKITIKE doesn't fit that either. So, and Lyle pointing out Ferguson got an ACL injury, and he did. And this is what happens with these young players as well. They could have all the potential in the world. They suffer a bad injury like an ACL, and they have the potential to never be the same player ever again. And it could kind of ruin their game and stuff. So, Axe says Delap is inconsistent. He is. I mean, he's playing for Ipswich, first season in the Premier League. There's potential there. He's young. But again, these young players, they're inconsistent. I mean, we see it with our own players. Garnacho's young. He's been inconsistent. He had a very good season last season. This season hasn't been so great for him. But this is what happens when you have these young players. That's why these young players are a risk. As much as we love the young players and we want to see them become the world's best, and you know it's part of our ethos. That's why we need to have a balance of experienced and young, because any young player, you know, they will hit a streak of form, they will be great, and then there will be a period where they go out of form and they play like shit, or they suffer some sort of injury. You know, one that comes to mind is like Kobe Mainu, where he was very, very important for us last season. He had a fantastic season. His, you know, the season that he had, that he came into the United First Team, played a prominent role, went into England, you know, was a sub one match, then became the starter for the rest of the for the Euros. Played a prominent role there. Came in this season, seemed a little bit burnt out, and he suffered an injury and he's gone missing. And when he came back from, when you know, he seemed a little bit not as sharp. So these things happen. This is why we need to have a balanced squad. Which we don't, and then you know, all the brunt and all the blame goes on all these players, and I think it's sort of unfair to them. I understand standards and they got to perform, but you know, again, they don't have the environment to flourish, and we need to provide them with that environment to flourish. Ineos promised us that they're going to provide that platform, so they better be doing it, because it's important as well. So. And Axe says put Delap in the B tier. Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, I think that's fair. Even EKITIKE, I would put him there. But EKITIKE, speaking of EKITIKE, here we go. Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool are all believed to be interested in Hugo EKITIKE. There's every chance he will leave this summer, with England being billed as his most likely destination. A £60 million package is the figure being mooted. And that update was followed by this update saying that Manchester United are keeping a close eye on EKITIKE as part of their plans to strengthen their attacking lineup. The Bundesliga club have set a price of 80 million euros, which kind of checks out with the previous price tag for the French striker. Arsenal, on the other hand, are among the clubs that are evaluating a potential move for him. That then leads us into Victor GYOKERES, who has been linked with us since Ruben Amorim has come, and we've got this update from Fabrizio saying Manchester United appreciates Victor GYOKERES. Ruben Amorim is a big fan. He's one of the names on the list, but nothing done yet. Fabrizio then went on to say, in quotes, "We have to see when United will approve the budget to understand how much they can spend on a striker." And I thought this was an important point that he brought up, because we don't know what we can spend. So we don't know what striker we're going to be able to get, which is a problem. You know, GYOKERES will be able to leave for around 60 million. He has that agreement with Sporting. But yet again, there are clubs above us that can offer him much more than we can. Arsenal are desperately looking for a striker. I think Chelsea are going to probably enter the market for a striker as well. And there might be some other clubs. So it's not a great time, in my opinion. I feel actually very concerned about the striker thing, because when I think about it, there's a numerous amounts of clubs that are looking for this striker. They need the striker. And we need the striker, and we are not in pole position to necessarily offer them, other than our name, the best sort of project. And I feel like what I don't want to happen is lose our top 3 targets and end up with 4th, 5th, or 6th target, because we've done that in the past, and that leads to failure, and we can't really afford that. So somehow we're going to have to figure out how to sneak and pull one of these guys. Now we have some things that go in our favor. Ruben Amorim has obviously already worked with GYOKERES. They have a good relationship, regardless of what anybody says about him leaving, etc., etc. They still have a good relationship. Ruben Amorim likes GYOKERES. He wants him at Manchester United, and hopefully maybe that's enough, and we can kind of sell him the project a little bit, and we'll end up getting him. If we don't get him, maybe Osimhen. He seems very interested in coming to United, so one of the two I think would be good enough. And I think if we can't get either one of those, we're going to end up getting one of the younger guys if the other teams don't do it. I think the situation of United around the striker is it's not really in our hands too much. It's more of the other teams. I think one of the bigger factors is Arsenal. Arsenal look like they perform much better than us. They're doing much better than us. But I think in terms of a project, they're able to be sold to these players better than we can. And I think it depends who Arsenal go for, because if Arsenal set all their things on GYOKERES, I think they can entice him to go there. So therefore he will not come to us, which means then we have to look at Osimhen or EKITIKE. If Arsenal decide that they go all in on EKITIKE and they sign him, well then that opens up the room for us to get GYOKERES or Osimhen. So I think we're kind of playing a little bit of catch up. We're playing a little bit of reactionary instead of taking action, which is unfortunate. But like says, Arsenal are going to price us out in the striker department. That's what I'm saying. Like, Arsenal is probably going to be our biggest crutch, because they are definitely in the same position in terms of they need this striker. It is important for them. And we are looking at around the same targets, and they are the better project at the current moment. And it just feels like to me, whoever they decide to pick, we then will not be able to get. So it's not only what we can spend and who we can afford, but then it also comes to, well, who are the other teams going to take? And who does that leave us with? Which is a big issue for us, because we need these players. We need first or second choice. We can't afford to get fourth, fifth, or sixth choice because we're already behind, and that means we will fall further behind, and we're constantly playing catch up, and we need to get out of the cycle of playing catch up. So Arsenal should buy Sterling on a permanent deal as their center forward. I hope, I mean, I would love if they do that. I think actually Arsenal should definitely permanently sign Sterling, and they should make him their striker. I think he would be absolutely perfect for Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal need to go and buy GYOKERES. I don't think Arsenal need to go and buy EKITIKE. They should just make Sterling as their center forward. They'll win the Premier League easy. Yeah. So, but yeah, but there was another update about GYOKERES right before we went live, that apparently, and here we go from David Ornstein, they're all incredible. He's basically next to Fabrizio, but for England, he's top tier. Number one, saying Arsenal are developing a strong interest in Manchester United linked striker Victor GYOKERES. So again, as I was just pointing out and saying, big issue. Because I think if we table two offers, without United doing previous United things like offering GYOKERES 300,000 a week, I think if we make two fairly similar offers, fair offers, I think GYOKERES would probably end up going to Arsenal. We never know. He could have some sort of a fetish for United or for Ruben Amorim, and maybe that pull is stronger than we think it is. But there is a lot of room for doubt there, so I'm not 100% confident on that. One of the players that that we talked about before that went for 100 million price tag is Wharton from Crystal Palace. Apparently Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City, including us, are all interested in signing Adam Wharton, who Crystal Palace have valued at 100 million. So another young Premier League player at a smaller club is being touted for 100 million. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, considering the way the market is going, and the influx of money that these clubs are getting. You know, Crystal Palace, yeah, they're a small club. Crystal Palace are not desperate for money. They don't need to sell Adam Wharton. They're not struggling for money. They're not struggling for FFP. They're good. They're all right. So they can do these sorts of things, and this is what's happening in football now. It's leveling out a lot more, which is another big issue for Manchester United, because we have to sort our shit out and get our feet together. Because these clubs that we consider smaller, they are a lot more stable, and they're a lot more financially better, and they are improving. And they're gaining on us, which is why we're currently finding ourselves down, you know, under 10th place. And this is going to continue. This trend is going to continue. So we have to sort our shit out. And we got to do it fast. We got to do it quick, and we got to do it efficiently. So, you know, but again, they value him at 100 million. I don't think they'll go anywhere near 100 million. They'll probably go for 60 if they're going to a Premier League club. Inflation, you know, Premier League tax, whatever you want to call it, you're going to add in all those things. Potential. Is his ability worth 60 million? No, but you're always going to pay for potential. You're always going to pay Premier League tax. So it is what it is. And this is why, you know, you don't really see too many, like when City got created and they got bought out, and they started their journey, and they started going and buying players from all these other clubs, that, you know, buying Adebayor and buying, you know, Bellamy, and buying all these players and bringing them in. They were poaching them from other Premier League clubs. They were able to do it for, I mean, some of them, they paid them high wages, but they got them for decent prices. You can't really do that any longer. And that's why you don't really see clubs doing it too much. And that's why you see a lot of clubs, especially us. You know, when was the last time we bought a player from a Premier League team? We don't do it too much because it costs a lot. And I think that's why we've been kind of sort of rating Italy lately, because Italy is not a league that is financially well off. And there are deals to be made there, and you can get certain players for certain prices that if you took that same player and you had them playing for a Premier League club like Crystal Palace, you would be paying an extra 40-50 million for them. So again, another issue for United, financially not well. FFP didn't come into full effect until 2011, 2012 when it came out in 2009. Yeah, and that's another factor as well. You know, those things do have an effect as well. So it has changed the dynamic in the Premier League, but you know, all the Premier League clubs are earning way more money. You know, there's the money in commercial and TV has increasingly gone through the roof. It's being pumped into the Premier League like absolutely crazy. So these smaller teams that once were unable to compete financially are getting a foothold in there, and they are getting stronger in that aspect. So yeah, and City literally got bought out at the right time, and had 3 to 4 years to undergo mental spending in order to catch up to the likes of Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Well, I mean, they bought Sterling from Liverpool. You know, they poached quite a lot, and they were able to do it for decent fees. So it's much harder to do that now. I mean, you can do it if you're financially well off and you have a good project, but you know, to say we're going to go in and get Wharton and spend 60, 70, 80 million on him, we can't even really afford to do that on one player at this current state. But then also for a player that youth, you know, we don't need one player. We need 4 or 5. We need to build the squad out. So Grace says, isn't Wharton a hybrid of small lumps under your skin and print? No, I think that's something else you think of, Grace. Last story before we start building out this team. It was this news coming out. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes is a £90 million transfer target for Real Madrid. It's coming from the Sunday Express. Thoughts on this is that I don't think that Real Madrid are actually interested in buying him. I don't think they would buy him. I think Real Madrid are much smarter than that. I don't think that they would spend anywhere close to 80 to 90 million to buy Bruno Fernandes, and solely for the fact that he is 30 years of age. Um, Real Madrid have a very good and pretty balanced out squad, and they have some very they're not too young. They're 21, 22, 23 in those positions, and I just feel like if Real Madrid were going to go for a player that plays Bruno's position, they'd probably go and get the next Bruno Fernandes or the next Odegaard or whatever. I don't think so. I will say though that if they were to come in and they were to offer 90 million, we should probably take that deal and sell him, because if we're gonna do a rebuild, then let's do a rebuild. Bruno's 30. I love him. I like him. I think he's a very good player. I think he's our important player. But you can't really turn down 90 million for a 30-year-old that, how many more years is he going to give you? 2, 3, maybe. And again, we still need to build the foundation and we need to build this squad out. So I would take it if they offered him to us. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Real Madrid are actually interested in this deal. I think it falls outside of their I think it falls outside of their normal transfer business. I mean, sure, they buy world stars, but they don't buy world stars at 30 years of age. They buy world stars maybe at 26 that's going to be at the club for the next 4, 5, 6 years for them. So I don't think that would be. I think if anything, they would come and try and maybe they would try buy Kobe Mainu or something. Something to that effect. I don't think they would go for Bruno. So I don't think this is going to happen. But we gotta. I mean, it's. I think it brings up an interesting point, though. And Lyle says, "I really hope Bruno gets to lift the Premier League at least once. He deserves trophies." And I agree with that. I think for Bruno, I think he does deserve. I feel bad for him in terms of the fact that, like, I feel like he is a player that deserves to have a Premier League title to his name. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to give him that unless he stays with us and somehow this project that we have builds out in the next 2-3 seasons, and we're there, and we have the potential to do it. Yeah, because I think he is that good of a player that he does deserve to have a league title next to his name in the biggest league in the world. But yeah, he's just, he's at United, and United is not where they need to be to provide that for him. So can Real Madrid actually pay 90 million sterling? I think they can. I mean, they signed Mbappe for free. They didn't spend any money for like a season. Or so, and they do well. They do well. I mean, they're on course to win the Champions League again. I don't know how they're doing in La Liga. Are they in first place? Why does Bruno deserve a title? Says Grace. Because I think he's a hardworking player. He's a good player. He's been a good player for us. He's probably been not probably. He's been our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. He has the character of somebody that, and again, sometimes it's to a fault, but he hates to lose and he desperately wants to win. And we've been shit. And again, I will make this argument till the end of time. You can say Bruno is a problem, but the current stature of Manchester United, unless we sell him for this amount of money, right? If you get rid of Bruno, we ain't got shit. There is nobody that is going to replace the output of Bruno Fernandes that is currently at our club. And if you do sell him and you don't then reinvest it, well, who are you reinvesting that money in? What player are we getting? Because most likely, currently under Ineos, we will go get some 21-year-old that's not going to be as established as Bruno. Their game's not going to be as good as Bruno, and it's going to take them some time. And there's no guarantee, because United is a mess, and we haven't been able to develop players properly for quite some time right now. Bruno, we got him at already a developed age, and he was already good, and he was already, well well experienced in Europe and stuff like that. So, you know, I think I do. I think he's one of the players that he does deserve something. Since he's come in, he's pulled his weight for the most part. Sure, he's gone out of form. Sure, he played shit for months. Um, but how can you not when you look at our squad, when you look at our team? So, um, you know, Lyle says, remember Mbappe got a massive signing on bonus, plus his wages are high, but free transfer definitely helped that. Yeah, I mean, listen, Real Madrid, Real Madrid do Real Madrid things. They have Tuchemeni, they have Vinicius, they have Mbappe, they have, they will get it done. They will get it done if they want to. They can and they will somehow, some way. They are very good run football club. They are, in my opinion, they are the most proper run football club in the entire world. At the highest level. They always do it. They've been doing it for generations now, or decades, whatever you want to say. But that's also why I don't think that they would do this. It just doesn't fit. If Bruno was 26 years old, I think they would do it. Bruno being 30 years old, I don't think that they're going to do it. I think that they would just go. They got Bellingham as well. And this is what I'm saying. So, I just don't think it fits. I think that would be something United would do. And maybe not United now, but United pre-Ineos, we would go and be like, yeah, Bruno Fernandes, 30 years old, and slap 90 million on it and bring him in there. And then 2 seasons time would be like, what the fuck did we do? We paid 90 million. This guy is finished, sort of like, kind of like Casemiro, you know? My friend is a Real Madrid fan. He was upset when they sold Casemiro, and I told him, you guys are going to be fine. I said, look at the players you're getting. You're getting Tuchemeni, you're getting, who's the other one? The other French kid. I forgot his name. In there, they got Bellingham. They do their thing, and I was like, you guys are letting him go. I was like, and I like him because I thought, I consider him a very good player. But I was like, yeah, if you guys are letting him go, that means he's kind of on his way out, and they know he's finished, and they're refocusing, and we're going for somebody that's older. It's gonna fall off at some point. They're gonna peak. Camavinga, thank you. Yes, they got Camavinga as well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Real Madrid went, they got Bellingham, they got Camavinga, they got Tuchemeni. We went and we signed Casemiro when we should have been signing Camavinga, Tuchemeni, or Bellingham. We should have gotten one of them. But we went the opposite way. They went the other way, which is why I consider them to be the most properly run football club in the world at the elite level, and we are the opposite. Fox says Madrid don't look as good anymore. Well, I don't think they're as strong as they might have once been when they had like Ronaldo, Kaká, and all those players. I think they're a little bit in a transition, but they're still strong. They're still top. I still make them favorites to win the Champions League. It's their competition. It's their football heritage, as one of our managers once said. And Lyle said we paid 70 million for Casemiro, and this is what I'm saying. Like, if Bruno Fernandes was at Real Madrid right now, and they were like, Bruno for sale, 30 years old, 90 million. Previously, we would have went and bought him instead of buying a Bellingham, a Tuchemeni, or whatever. Which is why I don't think Real Madrid will do this deal. I think if Real Madrid are going to go and spend 90 million, they're going to go spend it on whatever other player, that's 23, 24, 25, 26. I don't think they'll do it for Bruno. Now, a Saudi club might come in and offer this money. And maybe there's a potential for a deal there. But that's up to Bruno if he wants to go to Saudi. I kind of feel like, based off his personality, he wouldn't really want to. I think he would want to go either stay in the Prem or end up at a team that actually will challenge, so that he can add a league title to his name in one of the top 5, and not even top 5, top 3. It would have to be England, Spain, or Germany, in my opinion. But yeah, so, but that was all of that. So let's get to where we gotta go, and we're gonna try and build the squad. I don't know how well this is gonna go, but we need the chat. The chat needs to get involved because I have no predetermination on this. So start getting in the chat. What lineup, what formation are we going to pick? Throw out formations. We need to do these lineups. We're gonna build out a team for Manchester United. What is the squad for? The squad is for a team that United can have for next season, I guess. It's got to be realistic. Don't put Ronaldo. Don't put players that we can't really afford, but players that you would like to see. Grace wants to play a 619. Yeah, for next season, something that we could probably go with that you would like to see out of, transfer targets that have been linked with us so far. Maybe a team that you think would be highly competitive, and be good for next season. I think we probably have to go with the 3-back. I think, because Ruben Amorim, right? That would make the most sense. So let me switch the formation. You guys are saying 3-4-2-1. 3-4-2-1. Fair enough. Let me get that in there. 3-4-2-1. So boom. We're there, right? All right. So, goalkeeper, gonna be interesting. Goalkeeper. Throw out names. Goalkeeper. Who do you want? We're gonna keep Onana. We're not gonna keep Onana. We're gonna put in Biender. We're gonna buy a new goalkeeper. I don't know. Ben Foster. Lucas Cherverel. Jean Garcia. Interesting names being thrown out here. I mean, I like Ben Foster. He could probably do a job, but I think he's done in the past. Has to be Onana. We can't afford to spend on that position. Well, I guess we're gonna have to do a poll. So, goalkeeper. Onana. Let's do promote Vitek. And then we'll pick one where maybe Jean Garcia, because I've seen his name thrown out there a little bit once or twice previously. All right, vote it up. Poll is live. Ray says he wants Gary Bailey. Well, he might do a better job than Onana currently at the moment. So, voted in. It's split between Vitek and Garcia right now. 50-50. We need tiebreakers. Somebody's voted for Onana. It's now a 3-way tie. 3 votes. Everybody has to vote because we need to try and we got to get somebody to lead in here. Realistically, it will be Onana. I mean, okay, fine. Realistically, it will be Onana, but it's more about what you guys would want to see. Keeping it realistic. It doesn't have to be what it is necessarily going to be, but if you would want a new goalkeeper, we could go for Vitek, for example. Will it be Vitek? Most likely, probably not, but Vitek is a realistic option, right? I don't know too much about Jean Garcia, but I don't think he would cost an extensive amount. What we want isn't realistic, but there's some options out there that are realistic. There are some options out there that are realistic. I mean, Vitek in reality can be one because we have him, but I'm talking about like in terms of like don't give me like don't tell me Courtois because it's not going to happen and we wouldn't even be able to afford him. You know what I mean? But around there. See, and then you say John Oblak. But like we wouldn't be able to afford Oblak, Manuel Neuer. We can't afford those guys, and they're not going to come. But I say, let's go. Is he even going to pop up here? He's here. Let's put him in there. We'll put him Vitek. He's leading there. We'll put him there. Neuer's 40. Still good though. Still good though. All right, what we got? Center backs. Center backs. Throw out names. Maybe I'll just take them from the names. We don't have to do polls, but throw out names. Throw out names for the center backs. I think obviously, like, you know, DeLitt is gonna have to stay in here. If it's not Delo, I'm banning you. Well, Delo's not gonna play center back, is he? He would play wing back. We didn't get there yet. Our budget is so far is 0 million. It's a good start. It's a good start. We've spent 0 million. We've got a new goalkeeper. DeLitt as the center back. Yes, and I'm glad you remember that. Yeah, I think I would put DeLitt there for sure. Number one because he's gonna be there, but also because I think he's been good. So DeLitt. Right center back. Race is saying Maz. I like Maz being there. We're obviously gonna get a bench as well, so we could do that. Lyle says DeLitt as center back. Euro is left center back. Well, let's do the right center back first, and then we'll go to the left center back. So Lyle saying let's do right center back. Right center back. Right center back. Right center back. Do you guys agree? Maz? We're going with Maz? Maz, right center back? And then you guys want Euro. Your Maz right center back and Euro left center back. That's what we're doing. No Lisandro Martinez. We're just gonna forget him because he's injured. So you guys want to line up like this so far? Good. So far. And now we're gonna divide. Huge opinion. And then we'll build out a little bit of a bench. Obviously, they don't have a spot for a bench here. But we'll build it out probably at the end. Lenny, Yenny. Well, don't get ahead of yourself, Box. We didn't get there yet. Right wing back. Right wing back. Who are we taking right wing back? Right now we have. There's obviously Ahmad. There's Diallo. Whoa. Delo, Ahmad. Yeah, wing backs. We'll do the bench after we do the starting 11. We'll go back. Yeah, the wing backs, wingers, whatever you want to do. Lion says Frimpong. Maybe we should Ahmad right wing back. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Right wing back. Diallo. Delo. I think Frimpong is one that you can do because he's 40 million. Trying to think who else. Diallo, Delo, Frimpong. I think we'd probably go with that for right now. Diallo, Delo, Frimpong. Vote it up. Poll is live. Let's see who we're gonna pick. Frimpong leading the race, 67%. Diallo, 33%. Diallo bringing it level, going back and forth. 50-50. Someone's got to break the tie. Someone's going to have to break the tie. I might have to break the tie. I don't want to be that guy, though. I'm not trying to be that guy. Even, no. you know, Grace hasn't even put in her vote for Delo. Just shocking. Just absolutely shocking. Delo to be sold. But we'll do a little bit of that after. So, 50-50 it is. Nobody else is going to vote? I give you 1 minute to break the tie. Anybody that didn't vote. I give you 1 minute. Otherwise, I'm going to break it. Ahmad at right wing back will be electric. Well, listen. I mean, Ahmad, obviously, he's still gonna have a role. He's still gonna play. So, if he's not starter, he'll be there as a backup, or you can put him somewhere else. You know, he can maybe people would like to put him as the 10, as one of the 10s, and play inside. So we could also do that as well. Lion says Ahmad, I'm convinced now. Well, I'm gonna go. Not that I'm not convinced by Diallo. I would put Diallo there, but I really like Frimpong. So and I would take Frimpong. So I would put Frimpong. I think Frimpong. I think if we had Frimpong and we had Diallo battling it out there, and you had those two players for those two positions, I think would be I think that's very, very strong. I think that's very, very good. And I would probably start Frimpong. I would probably start from. I don't know. I like Frimpong. I like him. I mean, I think I have a bias. That I would just start him over Diallo. Obviously, I love Diallo. Diallo is very good. But I think again with this system and this formation, we can shift things around. So we can have Frimpong there. We can even have, you know, Diallo play in the 10 as well. But it would be good depth at right wing back. I think it would. I think those are two players. Frimpong good at attacking, but that's also his natural position. And I think Diallo's done good to adapt so far. I think he has some more to learn and build out his game there, but he fits the profile very, very well. So, yeah. Let's do center mids. Center mids. I broke the tie. I went with Frimpong. Delo got 0%. That's Grace's fault because she didn't vote. She didn't vote for Delo. So apparently Delo's getting sold. But yeah, center mids. Who we going with center mids? You guys want to go with Ugarte? Ugarte. Lyle says Ugarte. Let me see. Center mids. He says screw Delo. Center mids. We'll add options in there. We'll put in. Spelled his name wrong. Ugarte. Menu. Can even put Bruno in there. Just for the fact of putting Bruno in there. Ugarte, Meno, Fernandez. What do I feel like I'm what do I feel like I'm missing somebody? Let's put Ederson. I got Bruno in there. Because Ederson is a transfer target, yeah. Oh, there's Collier as well. But yeah, I think I mean we're gonna have to put in 2 anyway, so let's do this. Casemiro. We'll take 1 and we'll swap them out. So Ugarte definitely in. Ugarte is definitely in. So Ugarte is taking up 1 spot for sure. So Ugarte, yeah. And then when I edit the poll, gotta end it. And we'll do another poll, the other position. Ugarte definitely won. And we'll add in options. And we'll put Mano back in. We'll put Bruno. We'll put Ederson. And we'll put Collier. And we'll put Collier. I don't know if I spelled their names right, but voted up for the other spot in the team. Bruno, 100% so far. 1 vote. We didn't put Casemiro, but I think I haven't put Casemiro because Casemiro needs to leave. So, Lions is in with Bruno. We got 4 votes, 25% going to Mano, 75% going to Bruno. I mean, I can make it tied, you know, because I didn't vote. I can make it tied. If I vote for Mano, it's 50-50. 50-50. Should I be that guy? Should I be that guy? I can be that guy. No, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the chat. I would maybe put Mano there. Box says he would play Collier over Mano. I mean, that's a fair shot as well. I like Mano. I think Mano's just had a little bit of a rough season. But I think I know why you guys are not picking Mano. They're just picked up on. But all right, we'll go with Bruno. Box would take Collier. Yeah, I think Collier has the potential to be there. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think I would necessarily start with him there, but I would be giving a lot more minutes, a lot more opportunities to Collier to build himself out there. I think he has a good profile for that position. But we'll put Bruno there. And yeah, we'll put Bruno there for now. Collier and Mano, good depth. Yes, and that's the thing. I mean, it's not like they're not going to be part of the team. Collier and Mano will be there. So we'll have Ugarte and Bruno, and we'll have Collier and Mano, and then maybe potentially another player. But it is good depth. That's good depth there. If we were to get Frimpong, we'd have good depth at the right wing back as well. And even at the center backs. The center backs we got to come back to because we're gonna have to fill out that depth a little bit. But let's do left wing back. Left wing back. I think I already know who's going to be a left wing back. I'm assuming it's going to be Dorgu. So I would say Dorgu. Yeah, I wish they let us build out a bench. That would be cool. They don't have that option. Yeah, Dorgu, no question. Dorgu, no question. I think that's an easy one. So I don't think we really need to vote on that. And then what I was thinking though is who would be the backup for Dorgu? Who's gonna build out? Well, Lions is in here saying Luke Shaw, of course. If it's fantasy, then let's fantasize about him staying fit. I mean, fair enough. I think you can add subs. I don't see it though, because it just gives me like a player count of what's this? I don't want to ruin it, so I'm not gonna touch it yet. But we'll do it after. Yeah, I don't see it on here. It just says 11 players, but that's fine. We could build out the bench after. We'll remove this, and we'll build out a bench. Press the arrows. That's the Let's just switch them out, no? Alright, don't worry about it. So backup, backup. Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Backup left wing back. We do that because I think that's interesting. We need an option. Any players that you guys have to mind that you would like to see if United were to get like another left wing back that we obviously don't have, or maybe an academy player, like my son Amos. Um, I can think of. We'll put Shaw in there. We'll put Amos as one as well. Amos. Maybe we can put in I'm thinking, how about this? Put below, there's three of our players here, and then we have, which I don't know if we'll actually be able to get him, but I've thrown something into the wrench here. I've thrown a wrench into it, and I've thrown in Kirkez. I've thrown in Kirkez. Pedro Leon, the new Paraguayan. Well, fair enough, he's there as well. But I can only put four, unfortunately. I would love to put six. I can only put four. You like Kirkez? I like Kirkez too. I would like to get him. I think if we had, I'm just thinking if we had Dorgu and Kirkez as our options. Box already pressed Amos. That's fine. I mean, Amos is there for the taking as well. We've. I think you can switch your vote. No. I think you could. I think you can. Can you switch your vote? Amos 67%. Nobody's voting for Delo. Delo is. We're selling Delo to Bournemouth or something. I don't know. Kirkez Dorgu would be a strong option. Kirkez got my vote. All right, fair enough. We'll keep Kirkez. Kirkez will stay. I'll vote for Kirkez as well. I would love to get Kirkez, but we are saying that United are so far. We haven't bought it. We didn't buy a goalkeeper. We have a different one. We didn't buy anybody in the back line. They're all our players. I mean the center backs. They're all our players, so we didn't spend any money there yet. We've then acquired Frimpong for 40 million and Kirkez for I don't know what he would go for, 40, 50 million or something. So it's 80 million we're spending on a right wing back and a left wing back. They are important to the system though. They are very important. And we are lacking some sort of depth. But the chat has gone with Amos. So I guess we're not getting Kirkez. We have Amos. So we spent 40 million so far on Frimpong. We spent 40 million on Frimpong. But let's get to the 10. The 10s, multiple 10s. Start throwing out names for the 10s. Who are we gonna have as the 10s? Bruno's not gonna be a 10 because Bruno is playing there. Fox says he'd like to buy Cherky from Lyon. Really good 10. He would be about 20 million. As his deal runs out in 2026, I've been told. Yeah, he's one there. Axe says Garnacho. Lyle says left 10 Xerxes, right 10 Ahmad, Menu. All right, fair enough. Let's try and do the players we have, and we'll go for one spot, and then we'll do it again. So we'll do one spot. This is for one spot. Add option. I guess left 10 we will put, and we'll put Xerxes. He's here. We'll put Menu because he's here. We'll put Garnacho because he's here, and I don't think he should be sold, and hopefully he doesn't. He doesn't sold. And you know what? We'll put Diallo there as well for right now. From the players that we have. And the next one we'll put it with somebody that we don't have once we get one of our established players in there. Um yeah, we'll throw Napan in the I think Napan is gonna take that spot. But let's get one of the players we have already, right? That's part of the squad. Let's get one of them in there, and then we'll remove them out, and we'll throw in somebody we don't have, and we'll see how they fare against the other players. Um, so for this position, left 10, we're gonna go with Menu right now. So Menu is here. So Menu's still in the lead, 4 votes. I think the chat wants Nippon. Yeah, I don't think we need to poll that. I guess I'll just um yeah, we'll get in the pot. We'll get in the pot. Which I'm not against. I like him. I hope we go and buy him. I like him. Then the almighty ultimate question. Um the ultimate question. Striker. Who is gonna be the striker? We have let's put the people that we talked about already, right? We do have quite a numerous amounts of options there. But I would put so far, which I know he's probably going to get 0% of the vote, but we'll do it anyway. And throw some striker names out there. I have 3. But I want to put one in that you know what, I got one. Here we go. Between these 4. Poll live. Poll is live. I'm laughing because I know certain player is gonna get Steph, how you doing, Steph? We're building a squad. Um we're building a squad. You missed the other part. You see the squad we're building. Something that we could have maybe for next season. We got a poll live on the striker. If you wanna vote in on that, you can get in there late. We got 6 votes. GYOKERES seems like he's gonna take it. Somebody voted for Rasmus, which is I'm actually surprised because I was saying that Rasmus was gonna get 0. Surprised by that. I was thinking Rasmus was gonna get a 0. And that Osimhen might get a couple votes, but nobody's voted for Osimhen. And majority have voted for GYOKERES. Is his name GYOKERES or GYOKERES? I don't really know. I think there's 2. Why is there 2? Whatever. We know who it is. GYOKERES. Grace voted for Rasmus. She might have. She might have moved on. Her new Rasmus was Stephanie. Fair enough, Steph. She's cleared up the allegations. We thought maybe she's moved on. She's gotten we thought maybe Grace got a new boyfriend. And she ditched the low for Rasmus, but no. So GYOKERES. So this is the team we built. We didn't spend any money, pretty much. I mean, for starting 11, right? We're gonna build out a bench. I'm gonna get the bench. We'll get the bench going. I don't know what happens if I press this button. I'm very afraid to press this button. Oh, one thing that we have to do before we do that, um, who who would you guys pick? We got to change Maino for Ahmad though. Well, we can't because we didn't vote that way. But I feel you, Lyle. I feel you. Interesting. Now I can't poll this, so you guys are gonna have to do the work in the chat. Who would you guys make? Ray says he wants to change his vote to Rasmus. So what? It goes 50-50? But I'm fair enough. You can change it to Rasmus. It'll go 50-50, but I'm still gonna end up breaking it because I would go with GYOKERES. I like Rasmus, but Rasmus I don't think can be the starter. Rasmus, I'm keeping Rasmus. I'm not selling Rasmus. Rasmus, backup striker, part of the squad, part of the team. But I think the all important. We need that striker. And if it's not Osimhen, then it's got to be GYOKERES. And we've gone with GYOKERES. Lions is changed into Rasmus as well. Now you guys are just messing with me. Now you're just messing with me. No. No. Come on. Guys, we talked about this. We said we need the experienced striker. We know Rasmus isn't it yet. So GYOKERES, Rasmus backup for sure. Rasmus winning by a nose. Yeah, the vote was already counted. The vote was already done. It was already done. We stopped the count. The count was stopped. But important thing. Who are you making the captain? Because we have an option to pick a captain in this starting 11 in this lineup that we have. Ray says that's not democracy. Well, listen, democracy, and the votes are done and counted. You know, you can't count the votes that come in after. You know, it's there. It was there. Captain. Fox says Bruno. Axe says Bruno. Lyle says Bruno, no question. That's 3 for Bruno. I would put it like this. Let's make it a little interesting. Axe says Bruno. Again. Yeah. Captain needs to be someone who cares. I agree. Not only that cares, but that is good. So I would put captain. I would put Bruno. I would put this guy. And I would put out of this starting lineup, there's really only 2 options really that I would put. So really, and I think this probably will be for nothing, but how do I take this away? I think personally, and I know how the vote's going to go anyway, but personally, in my opinion, I would say looking at the squad, there's only 2 options. And obviously, I think we know the most likely one or the most realistic one. But I would say it would be between these 2, looking at this squad. You know, you can't make Frimpong a captain. You can't make Frimpong a captain. You can't do it for Maino. You can't do it for Dorgu. You can't do it for York. You can't do it for Vitek. You can't do it for GYOKERES. You can't do it for Napan. But I think between these 2 players, I think that's probably the biggest shout. I mean, Bruno is Bruno. He's our current captain. He's been here for numerous amounts of years. And he's been important to us, and he's carried us through some times on his back. But I think De Ligt is a player. I think he is a guy that carries himself well. I like him. He has experience. He's played for Bayern. He's played for Juventus. He's captain Ajax when they were, you know, going to the semifinals in the Champions League with that Ajax team. And I think he is one that is a candidate to be a captain, per se, let's say if Bruno Fernandes leaves Manchester United or is sold, I think he is one. I would argue that Martinez could be one as well, but the thing with Martinez is I'm a little bit worried about him because his two sort of bad injuries in 2 seasons, and he's missed a large part of those seasons. And you kind of and I guess that's kind of why Bruno makes a good captain as well, because he's sort of not human. The guy doesn't miss matches. He's always available and he's always playing 90 minutes. And when you look at it from that standpoint, that's kind of important. I mean, the guy's always readily available. He's always there and he's always playing. Um, so he's always on the pitch. So there's a reason why you would strip Bruno as captain. Well, some people might just not want Bruno as captain. Maybe they just don't think that he should have been captain. I'm okay with Bruno being captain. But I think De Ligt is a fair shout as for somebody that if Bruno does stay the captain, I kind of look at it, and depending on how De Ligt goes next season and the season after, I think he is one of a candidate that you couldn't make him. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of include him. And to be fair, it's split in the chat. 6 people have voted, and it's 50-50, which leaves it up to me, which I don't really like, because I don't want to be this guy. I don't want the responsibility of this. De Ligt will be captain eventually. The most natural talker and leader in defense I've seen this season was Evans. Yeah, he spoke all game. Well, he is the most experienced, right? And he does come from sort of a different era box. You know what I mean? He is kind of from like the previous era of football, which is one that we're most, likely for. Do captains get sent off 2 or 3 times a season? Some of them do. I mean, Roy Keane probably got sent off like 5 or 6 times a season. It depends. It depends. Roy Keane certainly did it. It depends. It doesn't necessarily mean. And listen, I think one of those Bruno sendings off was. I think we're all in agreement that it wasn't correct anyway. But so yeah. 50-50. Nobody's gonna break this tie. No, nobody's gonna break. I'm gonna have to break this tie. I'm gonna go, which I guess is maybe not the not so fun, aspect. I guess I'm gonna go and I'll pick Bruno, because I think like Bach said, there's not really any reason. There's not any really reason to strip Bruno of the captaincy. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. I think I think he has the qualities of a leader, and a captain. When he goes on the pitch, sometimes he tries to give us his best, and sometimes it's just not good enough. But that's the human part of being a player. Again, players go in and out of form. But I admire his work rate, and I admire sort of his attitude. I don't have a problem with the so-called petulance of him pointing fingers and kind of throwing his hands up in the air. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think because I don't think his teammates consider it a problem. I think his teammates know Bruno Fernandes very well. I think they understand him, and I think they understand who he is as a player, but as a human. And when he does those things on the pitch, they don't. They know it's part of his qualities. I don't think it's really a problem. It doesn't necessarily bother me when he does those things, because at the end of the day, he is a very bad loser, which I think is also important in a captain. Um, Captain Chaos versus Captain Marvel comparison always makes me smile. Yeah. Uh, yeah. And like Lyons points out, he plays with his heart on his sleeve, and he's a guy who really cares, and he does. And he loves the club. He loves Manchester United. Um, and I think those things are important. So I don't see any reason to take the captaincy off him. I will say that if Bruno does go, I would strongly, strongly consider making De Ligt the captain. I would also, I also like Martinez's mentality, and I would consider him being captain. But there's question marks over Martinez because of the injuries. And even when we started up this season, he looked off. He was off of it. He wasn't that Martinez that we know. Was coming under some scrutiny. He was starting to get back into it, his normal flow, but he got re-injured. So De Ligt is natural successor, and he's already been there before. He's been captain, and he's played in big teams, big leagues, playing in the big competitions. So I think he has the right for that spot as well. So Ray says when you rebuild, you have to move famous players out and rebuild. Yeah. If somebody comes and buys them and gives us money for them and allows us to do the rebuild. Again, like I said, if Saudi Arabian team comes and they say we will give you 80 millions for Bruno Fernandes, as much as I love Bruno Fernandes, the rebuild would call to sell Bruno Fernandes for 80 million, and we must reinvest that. You can split that into getting two players in two positions for 40 million each or 45 million each, and maybe we spend a little bit extra, but it would definitely allow us to go and spend and buy. The sale of Bruno Fernandes for 80 million would probably allow us to buy minimum 3 players from anywhere 40 million up. So De Ligt is still only 25, seems to have been around forever, and that's the thing. Like, that's that experience type of thing. The experience doesn't necessarily sometimes come with said age. I think Mourinho famously said it one time when he was still our manager, where he was talking about some he was talking about experience. He said something along the lines of like just because you're 19 doesn't mean that you don't have experience. He's like, there's some players that are 21 that have played more games in the Champions League than a 28-year-old. They have more experience. They've been in bigger matches. They've won more things. So the age sometimes isn't necessarily a thing. It's also what they've done in their career so far. And De Ligt has definitely been around the block. And he's definitely much higher than a lot of people his age and younger than him. So yeah. But what we can do, selling Bruno might be our Coutinho moment, and that's what I'm saying. And it kind of has to be honest, but there has to be the interest. There has to be the club willing to pay the money, and then also there has to be the willingness from him to want to go. So I like him. I don't go as far as to say that he, I don't go as far as to say Bruno is the issue and when we get rid of him, our problems will be solved. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's accurate. But I think you can say, listen, we do a rebuild. Bruno Fernandes, 30 years old. Somebody offers us 80 million. I think you got to take it, whether you like Bruno or not. I think you got to take it because I think it's the decision that makes the most sense, for the squad aspect. So and I think he could be Steph. He could be our it could be our Coutinho moment, which allows us to actually build a real team. Fox says keep Bruno for another 10 years. I mean, I went against it. I love Bruno. I think he's a really good player. I wish we had. I wish our squad was at a spot where we were much more elevated. Sort of to his level or higher, uh because he's not perfect and we want more. But yeah, but let's fill out. Yeah, I was wondering what that does. Okay, what is this? Oh, what's that? Oh, that's numbers. I wanted to do sort of a bench. So I'll kind of pull up the formation, and we'll kind of do a bench. Bench. Ooh, backup goalkeeper. Guys, backup goalkeeper. You know, we have Vitek. I can't pull up both on the screen. If I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize. I try to do my best. But I'm an idiot and I suck at names. So Temesgin Delicio says, I want GYOKERES better for United, please. Well, I agree with you. And I think that's what we need. Backup goalkeeper. Backup goalkeeper. We are doing the bench. This is gonna be our bench. We'll try and do it to the best of our ability. Onana. Box says Chevalier or Garcia. Let's try this. Hey. Backup goalkeeper. Three options. We have Onana. We have let's throw in Garcia again. And I think we have these three options. Signs, sells from Forest. Great season. Best keeper in this season. Well, fair enough. Good shout. Lyle says Romero. We won't have 55 million 200K a week on the bench. Well, we might. I mean, we won't, but we could. Although we would we would probably look to sell him, which is the thing. And then he would have to go. But we got 50-50 for Onana and Garcia right now. There's Bay there as well, but I don't know if anybody wants Bay there. Yeah, I don't know too much about Garcia, so I can't tell you. What team does he play for? I actually have no clue. What team does he play for? I assume he's in the La Liga. I might be being some type of ism because he's Spanish, right? So Fox says Heaton. Heaton's retiring, isn't he? I think Heaton's retiring. Box says he'd offload Onana, being there, have Onana being there. He'd offload Onana being there and Heaton. Oh, okay. Espanol, he plays for Espanol. Yeah. Well, wasn't that biased then? So I was right. Garcia, Spain, plays for Espanol. All right. I've never seen him play. I literally don't know anything about him. But I'm taking your guys' words. So 4 votes. Out of the 3 options. I think probably even based off of that, Garcia. Joan Garcia. Backup. Joan Garcia backup. Well, maybe he would be the starter, but you know, point in case we'd give Vitek a go, one of our own from the academy, and we'd sign another goalkeeper, yeah. And we have those two duking it out. So fair enough. Backup centre backs to fill out the depth. Reminder: we have Mazda Lit and Euro are our starting lineup. So backup centre backs for the depth. We're going Licha, Butcher, Martinez in all 3 spots. We're gonna put Licha, Butcher, and Martinez. And he's no backup. He's the best in the Liga this season. But listen, maybe not. But you know, you come to the Premier League, maybe you got to get adjusted. Maybe it does. Maybe it comes as the backup. Um, maybe to give Vitek a spot. There's the formation change. Eric, what I do? Oh, is it? Oh, it's the wrong formation. Ha ha ha! Thank you. Did 3-4-1-2. 3-4-2-1. Yeah. Good eye. Good eye. Didn't catch that. All right. So I'm assuming. We're gonna have Martinez, right? We'll have, oh, not that Martinez. Too many Martinezes. So we'll have Martinez. I'm assuming Heaven is going to be one as well, since he seems to be popular. Apparently, he could play left back as well. Heaven. And then fill it out. I don't really know any options that we have for center back, to be quite honest. In terms of like new men, like new players. So how about we do this? We'll put in Maggie, right? And then we'll have the one that I can think off the top of my head. And I'll put this one in for fun, even though I don't think we'll probably be able to get him. But I think I know where we're gonna go with this. You know what? I'll put that guy in too. I don't know who he is, but both of you said it, so we'll put him in there as well. But I threw another wrench in there. But you guys are going crazy for Boscagli. Boscagli. I don't even know who that is, but there you go. Vote it up. Vote it up. Three, right off the bat, 3 votes for Boscagli out the gate. Somebody's coming with a vote for Maggie, for Maguire. I like to call him Maggie from time to time, or Slabby, or Slabhead. I like Scalvini, but I think he'll be expensive / unattainable. You're right. I do it in there for fun, though. I do it in there for fun. He would definitely be expensive. He's definitely top prospect. Although Italy, maybe not as expensive as we think. You know, there's a strong possibility that he might cost the same as Branthwaite at this point. And I think Scalvini probably better than Branthwaite, or probably has a higher ceiling than Branthwaite. So when you weigh it up like that, it's like, yeah, well, Premier League player, Branthwaite, English, kind of Prem proven already, or at least kind of used to the Prem. And then you have Scalvini, young Italian kid, playing in the Serie A. But you could probably get them for both about the same price. So Lyle says I would put Leach center back, though. His injury might jeopardize his movements on the right or left. Yeah, I mean, don't take too much of like the position of where they are. But fair point. Maggie May, get in Rod Stewart. Brainwith for around 40 million would be great. But when they quote double that, it makes the deal a no-go. Yeah. And they're holding out desperately for that. I mean, they want 80 million for him. 40 million, I don't think much people would have any problem with that. But when they're asking for 70 million, 80 million for Branthwaite, I'm like, no. But we'll go with Boscagli, because Boscagli has taken over the he's free, and apparently he's highly rated as well. Here he is playing for PSV. Boscagli, look at that guy. He looks like a French Delit. Looks like a French Delit right there. Boscagli. Skogli. Okay. Refresher time. So we get this straight. Right wing back. Right wing back. We went with Frimpong. Are we gonna go with Diallo? Right wing back. Diallo? A French musketeer, he says. Ahmad and Kirkez as wing backs. Well, yeah. Wait a minute. What did I do? The other one. Oh, we put Dorgu. I think we went with Amos as the backup. We'll do it again. But right wing back, right wing back. Right wing back. And this poll. Back up. I think it's gonna be Diallo. I think it'll be Diallo, right? It can't be anybody else. Lions coming in with the low. Right wing back backup. Diallo, because maybe people want to put Diallo somewhere as a backup 10. So we'll put it to the vote anyway. Let's put it like this. Armian and Wan-Bissaka, he says. Oh, we might as well just get Ashley Young. I guess we'll put it like this. Right wing back, backup. Diallo. We're going with one or the other. Depends where you want to put Diallo. Just because you don't put Diallo as right wing backup doesn't necessarily mean he won't. You know, he's not involved in the team anymore. We can slot him in the 10 backup. Or not necessarily a backup, but you know, they're there. They're there fighting for the position. You're fighting for the number 1 spot, so you either be number 1 or number 2. Yeah, Darmian is a beast, though. I mean, listen, he went back to Italy. He's done very well there. So, he's done very well there. But that just goes to show you, sometimes some players, they just don't fit certain league. Where is our Diallo? Excuse me. Oh, maybe he's under Ahmad. Yeah. So I think we're good with that, right? Lines Delo right back on the right back on the ship to Portugal. Yeah. Apparently, I mean, I don't think he's gonna get in this left wing back spot either. So, Diallo needs to be on the bench for the bench. It's Grace is absolutely furious with every single one of us today. She is not happy with any of us. Which then leads us to the left wing back, which I'm gonna do the poll. We're gonna have 3 options: left wing back, backup, which will be Amos because we voted for him. I do fear for Amos though, because you know the way his last name is spelled. If he doesn't become very good, yeah, it's spelled into his name. Unfortunately, which I hope that doesn't happen. So, Shaw, Delo, we'll do it again for final confirmation. Left wing back. Those are your 4 options. Those are your 4 options. People are going crazy for sure. The chat is a bunch of flip-floppers. The chat is a bunch of flip-floppers. How is it shifted to the low? I mean to Shaw. This is what I'm saying. How is it shifted to Shaw? We voted on Amos. I'm giving you a second chance. I'm giving you a second flip-flop. Bunch of flip-floppers sitting on the fence. You know that fence is pointy. Think it hurts. It hurts. It hurts to sit on that. Grace is absolutely. She says she needs some ice cream. Did they have chorizo flavored ice cream, Grace? some chorizo, some you know, a little bit of a taste of Portugal. What else did they got in Portugal? They got some good. Portugal got some good food. They got some good food. They got the carnes, the all you can eat. You ever been to one of those carnicerias? You go to a carniceria, you better be ready to eat. All you can eat. Any type of you know, they got chicken, steak, beef. They just keep bringing it out till you can't eat no more. Very delicious, by the way. Very delicious. Very delicious. Chat has been hacked by Shaw agents. Yeah, Shaw's sending a bunch of his bots in here. I think Luke Shaw has made Luke Shaw has like 5 fake accounts. Alright, so we're going with Amos. Harry, my son, that's my son. I believe in him. I believe in my son. My son will be here. Okay. Now, back up. Back up center mids. We need names. Start throwing out names. Backup center mids. Remember, we have Ugarte and Bruno already in there. So can't be them. Mano and Napon are also in the 10s, so can't be them. So I'm guessing Collier is gonna be one. I would assume. Excuse me for my burp. Steph says Kone and Collier. Well, I think Collier is definitely gonna be one, so and rightfully so. It makes sense because, you know, he's young, he's there. I could figure out how to spell his name. Let me go to the chat. The chat's better spellers than me. P-O-L-L-Y-E-R. P-O-L-L-Y-E-R. Y-Y-E-R. My American wants to my American wanted to spell it different. American education system let us down. Grace says, Eric, we need to talk. I feel. Grace, please behave yourself, Grace. Please behave yourself, Grace. Please behave yourself. Where'd it go? Oh, we're not voting. Oh yeah. So Collier, Kone. Anything else? Anybody have anybody yeah, I agree, Lai. Let's leave that unopened. I do have to say something though when we finish this. And you know, we have our 10 people here, our normal community. So it'll be fine. But I will make an announcement to some sort of an effect. Shaw could do a job as King of England. Shaw could do a job as a bloody TikToker, apparently. You know, that video he put out talking about people's moms on you guys have a different name for it. We call it food stamps. I forgot what it's called in the UK there. On government assistance. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good move, Luke. That was a real good move. You know? Real good move. But that's why I was saying Luke Shaw doesn't have that you know, when we were talking earlier about like Pogba and the social media thing. Shaw likes the MILFs. No, not necessarily. not in that way. He was talking about people's moms being on government assistance, meaning that they're poor and they can't afford to live. Yeah, he did a TikTok with a song that said that assistant eating. Yes, still thinking about food because apparently, no, he was like basically said your mom can't afford food. Which is just not a nice thing to say. Not a nice thing to say. No, but that goes to show you right there how he doesn't have, you know, like a brand team around him like Rashford has. Because Marcus Rashford would imagine Marcus Rashford did that video after feeding all those kids, and especially even his background. You know, mom raised him. They were poor. I think they were actually on that assisted type of living. Imagine he did that video. And matter of fact, imagine just being, regardless of being whatever you think of Rashford. Imagine being Rashford and coming from that, and then your teammate goes and makes a TikTok video about that shit, and he's supposed to be like your mate. You play in the England national team. You've been at United for quite a number of years, and then you see him post that TikTok. I would walk into the dressing room and be like, "You're an idiot. What's wrong with you?" You know. Wait, we're getting off track here though. We need the other center mid. So what we got? Kone? You guys are saying Kone. Someone stepped on Shaw's foot and his mouth opened allegedly. Yeah. Oh, pedo pins. Hey, I have one of those in my kitchen. They're actually very, very quite handy. Quite handy. Center mid. I can't think. So quickly, if you want somebody that we're not talking about, we have Kone. I'll throw in Edison again. As a sign-in. And I can't really think of anybody else. So if somebody wants to quickly throw out a name there, we have Collier there. If I said all this, Eric would tell me to stop. Well, the thing is, you can tell. Well, fair enough, but at the same time, Grace, you know what happens? You say something in a text form, so if people read it, they can't. Some people that maybe they're not members, they don't know us as much. They can't tell in what form you're saying these things, right? But because they can hear my voice and they can see me on the screen, they can tell that I'm being I'm playing around. I'm having a bit of fun. Some people might think you're being dead serious, which is the problem with text, which is why we got to get the call-in part, which I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be starting this week. I might ask Lyle if Lyle has some time. I might ask Lyle to help me out. With the Discord, I have it there. I have two things set up, but I just feel like it's sort of empty, and it just feels like I there's something that I should be adding to it to make it more better or whatever. So, but yeah, Lyle's good with those things. If anybody else wants to help out, they can. But I know Lyle. He already did the emojis for us, which we haven't seen yet. But I'm gonna do that. Lion says he can help. Lions, anybody's allowed to help. But I don't know. You were telling us yesterday that the technology is your kryptonite. So, not to disparage you. If you want to help, you can help. But not trying to put any added pressure on anybody that wouldn't want it. But fair enough. I'll put this. I don't know who it is, but I'll take one of box suggestions. We'll start the poll. Put the poll. Get it in there. This line said I said nothing of such. I have the poll. I assume Bach voted for Joshua. 50-50 between Joshua and Kone. To get the votes in there so we could get it moving, because we got to finish this up, because we're 2.5 hours into the stream, longest stream ever. Nobody does these long streams, but I don't really care. YouTube can penalize me for whatever they want. But considering we didn't do a stream for a couple number of days, you know what? I don't really care. Lyle says I will reserve this commentary card. Kone. 3 votes for Kone. One vote for Joshua, and nobody wants Ederson, which is quite amazing, because I feel like Ederson would have got some votes. I feel like people want Ederson to be bought. Casemiro's not in there, but you know what? I should have put Casemiro in there. Maybe it would have gotten some votes. My fault. We'll go with Kone, I guess, because it seems like that's I don't know if they have him here. So we might just have to put in a Kone that's not our Kone, but Kone. You know what I mean? I don't think they have him in this thing unless he goes by a different name. Saku is his name. Yeah. Who? He's not here. He's not here. They don't have him. They don't have him. They don't have him. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna put in. Who? Saku. It's coming to manager poll. What I'll do is we'll do something like this so that nobody has a heart attack. His name is Kone. His name is Kone. They don't have our Kone. He's not there. He doesn't pull up on the list, but he's there. Kone, copy and search with the EKITIKE. That's what I did. But this guy is not listed as Manchester United player. So whatever. We get the gist of it. Don't worry about it. Number 10s, backup number 10s. Remember, we have, just reminder, we have Maino. We went with Maino and Napan as the 10s. So that would leave maybe Xerxes for one side, Cherky for number 10. The Kukone. Yeah, I searched that. I don't know if it pops up. I'll do it again. But you guys give me number 10s. List them out while I'm doing this. Get out of here. Oh, we do have a bench. I'm an idiot. I found out the bench option now. But you know what? It's too late for that, so. Ooh, this guy. Want to switch him out. You know what? I'm not even going to do it. He's just going to stay there. Pissing me off. That's Conan. All right, number 10s. Number 10s. Fox says Cherky for number 10. Lyle says Garnacho. Xerxes Garnacho. Xerxes, Delo, Shaw. Maz has played number 10. Yeah. All right, so the poll that we have to do is the two that get the highest, which is going to be we'll do Cherky. We'll do Xerxes. We'll do Garnacho. Garnacho. Oh, you know what? There you go. Poll is live. Poll is live. Fox going straight for his guy. Well, two people went for Turkey. Turkey coming in. Turkey coming in, trying to steal. Turkey, Xerxes, Garney, Ernie, Birdie, and Louie. Is that from Sesame Street? Delo hate stream, yes. Delo has been shipped off to Northampton. Apparently, he's playing for what is that team? Scunthorpe says the non-league team, Scunthorpe, something like that. I can't remember the name. Yeah, Steph says Mason Mount. How did we forget him? Well, I think it's fairly easy. Somebody's out of Well, Turkey's in here. We need vote more votes. We have 9 people. 4 people voted. Vote, vote, because Xerxes and Garnacho are tied. We've shipped Delo to Salford. He's nowhere near here. Amorim loves Delo. When he starts for us next season, you can all apologize. Well, I think he will probably start, Grace. Fair point. But this is what we want. And we don't want Delo. We don't want Delo. We want him out. Get out. Get out. Can you tell me how to get Sesame Street? How to get to Sesame Street? Needs him out. We need votes. Only 4 of you voted. Vote. More votes. There's a team. There's a team in the lower league. I forgot what the name is. They got a purple badge. I think the name is like South something. South Rope. Oh, Southport. No, that's Southport. No, I can't tell you what it is. There's one that I've seen them all the time when I play FIFA. They're like in the lower English leagues. They have like some sort of a purple badge, and they start with an S. I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm totally just mixing 2 of them up together. Yeah, look, Scunthorpe. Yeah. This Scunthorpe United. See, I knew my team. Yeah. See, I knew my team. No, not Southgate Rovers. Scunthorpe United, based in the Addis Arena in North Lincolnshire. They're in the Varma the Varma National League North. Yeah. No, not Scunthrope. I said Scunthrope, right? Scunthrope. Pressure is mounting, literally. These guys don't want to vote. They don't want to vote. They don't want to vote. We got to break the all right, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going with Turkey. Yeah. Because he's won that. Now, I'm going to force you guys to vote again. Because now we got to go. Our poll. Xerxes or Garnacho as the other backup. Yes. There's a rude joke. And it probably doesn't help the way that I pronounce it, Stephanie, either. Definitely. Can we do a 3rd team? Not in this stream. Not in this stream. 3 votes for Xerxes. 3 votes for Xerxes, 1 for Garnacho. It's Scunthorpe. School. Wait, what? Oh, Thorpe. Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, it is Thorpe. Alright, sorry. Dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. You are right. Yeah, Scunthorpe. Yeah. Well, it's good that you know their name, Grace, because that's where we've sent the low, so you're gonna have to start supporting them. Start singing some Scunthorpe songs for us. Some chants. The image of Turkey on my mobile screen looks like the fella from Germany. Screen looks like a fella from Germany. Oh yeah. Well, that's the image they got. All right, so we're going with Xerxes. Zerk Z. Excuse me. When I type it in, why didn't you pop up the first time? All right. And now striker. We went with which I think this probably is pretty. Stop pronouncing the T. I can't help it. It's not my fault. Kevin Keegan and Ray Clemens. Did they really? Didn't know that stuff, but interesting. Striker. We're going with Rasmus? Or are we gonna pick somebody else? Or Paul. Well, we can't really go with anybody else, right? Rasmus. Who did we not? I mean, Rasmus is the only option we have, but we're not going to sign another striker. I mean, there's Rasmus and there's our kid, Cheeto. No, Rasmus isn't starting. GYOKERES is starting. Yeah, Obi. So I guess we'll go between Wheatley, but I don't think Wheatley is ready. Yeah. Scherer? Alan Scherer? We got Rasmus, Obi, or Wheatley. Even though I don't think Wheatley is anywhere near to come particularly close, but why not? It's whatever you guys want. Rasmus, 75%. One person for Obi. Lyle says Rooney. Rooney! You know what? I'd take Rooney back even in his current form. Even in his current shape. You know, I didn't put the lap because we went with GYOKERES. And if we buy GYOKERES or we buy Osimhen, then like we're not gonna buy another striker, you know what I mean? Well, at least I don't think we would. I gotta pronounce his name. Shera? Is it Shera? The budget looks pretty good. Alan Shera. And not Shera. Duncan Ferguson, they're telling me. Alright, we're going Rasmus. We're going Rasmus. Oyland, Rasmus. Boom. So we have Garcia, not sure. You forgot you forgot GYOKERES. GYOKERES. But what do you guys think? I mean, this starting lineup, it's got a good mix of some experience. I think it's a bit fairly young in terms of, well, really just Yoro, Durgamino, and Nippon. I think the 210s there, it's fairly young, inexperienced, but fair enough. We got the main guy leading the front line, the experienced striker, and we got the two, you know, experienced players in the midfield. Frimpong is well established already. Moz is experienced. The Lid is experienced. Yoro is a little bit young, and then Vitek, who's less experienced, but. I mean, I like the look of it. I like the look of the team in the starting 11, and then even the backup team. I mean, you got Martinez, Heaven, Pascagli, got Ahmad, Collier, Kone, Amos, Cherky, Xerxes, and Rasmus. I think if we had this team, What do you guys think? Box says he could smell a title. This is why none of you are coaches. That's great. Well, fair point. Is Zidane, Zinedine, Zidane, Zizou, Zizou. Treble now loading. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, I like it. I like it. It looks fairly. It's fairly balanced. I think maybe. We could do with maybe one or two more experienced players somewhere, because remember, like, look at this, the backups, and based on who's not in here, like Lindelof is out, Maguire would be out, Casemiro is out, Ericsson is out. Sure, they're old, but they're experienced, and Shaw would be out. But I think for a team that we're gonna build towards going to the future, I think it's a very well-rounded team. I actually think we did a very good job with this. We didn't spend a shit ton of money. We kept it fairly realistic with things that we have, and potentially what we could do. I think we should send this to Ineos. And get it going. Sir Jim would love it. Yeah, Evans is out. And yeah, and Delo is experienced. He is actually. But we shipped him out to Varma National North. But Sancho, as Box is letting us know, Sancho out, Anthony out, Rashford out, Onana out, Heaton out, Bayender out, Evans out, Maguire out, Lindelof out, Ericsson out, Malacia out, and Shaw out. Yeah, and Casemiro as well, So we got rid of we got rid of and then I'm out as well. Grace would take Gareth Southgate as our manager. I think I'm happy with Ruben Amorim. I think probably most of the chat. I mean, he's gonna be our manager anyway for the time being. Sancho is free. Yes, Sancho will be free. He will be free soon. You know what would be really ironic? I mean, it's not gonna happen because he's under contract. But imagine he just ended up without a club. Then he would really be free. He would be free agent. You know. he would actually be free. That would be the most ironic, hilarious thing ever if he ended up without a club. He would have accomplished freedom, becoming a free agent with no club. That would actually be hilarious. We could / will get some money if Greenwood leaves Marseille, which he probably is. I mean, he's doing pretty good over there. And we have some other things going on there. I mean, the talk about Alvaro Fernandez has quieted down now that we got Dorgu. But we have a sell-on clause there as well. We have sell-on clauses with some other players as well. So we might get some fees in there. But even this is I mean, even this is good. We've spent almost no money. Kept it well within the budget. I mean, you get in Frimpong, GYOKERES, we could get him for 60. Because that's what Sporting has agreed to let him leave for. 60, Frimpong for 40. That's 100. Napon would cost what do you guys say, like 20 or something like that? Turkey for 20. That's 120. Boscogli free. Garcia, we don't know how much she costs. And Napon is like 20. So I think we spent maybe we spend 150 million total. But look at all the outs we have as well. So be balanced. It'd be very balanced. Yeah, but it was a good stream. Good stream. I enjoyed putting this team together. This was fun. We're gonna do more of these going forward. Garcia 25 million. Yeah, so we spent somewhere around 150 in cash. But then we would obviously have to take into account the the sales, which would recoup most of the money. So you know, pretty good. So before we get out of here, I need to tell the rest of the group members that might not be aware. But for anybody that's wondering, Richard is not coming back to the community. He has left on his own accord. Unfortunately, I talked to him privately, and he's decided to no longer continue with us, which is sad because I tried to, in my opinion, I tried to do everything that I could to try and make him um feel better. But he was uncomfortable or unwilling do so, and so he said that he would no longer be joining us, which is it's sad. It's a sad loss to the community. We valued Richard, his opinion, and you know, his experience with United and the stories he would tell us, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. But I you know, I there's nothing I can do to force him to stay, and you know, some of his concerns, while I do hear them and understand, I we just don't see eye to eye on on certain things. And my level of tolerance for certain things is, I think, quite higher than his. So unfortunately, you know, he's a nice guy. But maybe just at the end of the day, this channel wasn't the correct fit for him. Um, but you know, everybody else is good. But listen, you know, the door's always open to him anyway. Not that I don't think he'll be watching this, but the door's open to him anyway. If he chooses to come back, he can always come back. I told him this, and I said there's no problems on my end. With anything else. He asked me to do. He was asking me for some things that I didn't agree with, or that I didn't think was the right decision for the community. So we had to leave it as what it was, and he chose to leave. So yeah, we'll miss him. But I wish him all the best. As I assume most of you will wish him all the best. And again, the door is always open. He's always allowed to come back if he chooses to do so. Do we have a buyback clause? I think we have first options. We don't have you know, it's up to him. It's up to him, Lions. Again, he can come back anytime he wants. There's no issues there. It's more of just a personal thing for him. And he's chosen what he's chosen. I gotta respect it, and there's nothing else to do. So yeah, if you were wondering about that, again, I will make this clear for everybody else. We talked about this a little bit. Me, Grace, Lion, and Lyle. We talked about it a little bit behind the scenes. Listen, it's all good. We have fun here. I think we have been together for quite a bit now. We have a good understanding between, you know, who we are and how we are. The community has like a good chemistry. But I just want to make it clear from my standpoint, I have quite a high tolerance for things. Some people might be a bit more sensitive to certain things. For me, the line is crossed if there is anybody comes in here and starts cursing at a chat member, calling them names, such as telling them to shut up because they are a loser, or, you know, to that extent, to that nature. Those things will not be tolerated. Banter is always tolerated, and I try to give a platform for free speech for other people to give their opinions and thoughts, whether it's controversial to someone might be annoying, but that's not a reason to stop anybody from speaking or sharing their opinions. So I try to refrain from doing that much as possible. If there are ever any problems in the chat while it's going on, and I do not see it because I do miss the chat sometimes. The chat gets quite active, and I'm doing a show, and I try to read through the chat, and I try to pick out the best comments for the, and sometimes I miss things. Listen, if there's things going on in there, if our moderators aren't around, or whatever it is, please let me know in the chat, and do not, don't just leave. Like, please make me aware. I will catch it at some point, and I will address it in the manner that I think is appropriate for whatever it is at that time. So yes, but my tolerance for things is quite high. You need to be really, really nasty to people having a difference of opinion, or small things that we can work out. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding in the chat. Sometimes somebody says one thing and somebody takes it a different way, and it's not the way they're saying it, and those things are workable. But we won't tolerate absolute hate. We won't. There's obviously no racism. There's none of that stuff. So that's where those things get crossed the line. And for the most part, maybe if you do cross a certain bit of a line, maybe we'll time you out once. We'll give you a warning, because I do believe in second chances as well, but it depends what it is. But there's always that possibility as well that somebody comes in and says something. We don't necessarily ban them right off the top. Depends what they say, but we can time them out, give them a little bit of a warning, give them some time to think about what they've just said and done, and maybe let themselves relax, and they can come in and be a normal member of the community. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to say. You guys have been fantastic. I think what we need to do, though, Grace says, I will Rasmus superplex you. There's also that. You don't want to do that. Besides facing the potential of, a timeout or a ban from here, Grace will then also Rasmus superplex you into the next dimension. Which, unless you're looking to go to a new dimension, I wouldn't advise going down that route. It's all part of growth. No, it is. And listen, again, I have to say, not everything is for everybody. So, it wasn't a bad fit. He was a good guy. I think we're all good people. We have a lovely small community, but lovely people, and everybody's all right. But sometimes just things don't necessarily coexist with each other. So there's nothing you can do about it. It's about finding out. You know what I mean? And I think we've had enough time, and so he's chosen to do what he chooses to do. And we wish him all the best. And that's about it. Going forward, I'm gonna have to. Lyle, I gotta talk behind the scenes, because we got to discuss some things. And I was trying to do these things on my own, but I'm really slacking. I don't want to put things on you that's not fair to you, but or anybody else that wants to help. I've accepted that I need help, because I'm I'm dealing with things, but in my life, they're taking up time, and I really want to get the Discord. I want to get the call-in show going. I want to get the cord going so we can talk when we're not live, just in regular chat, like how we're doing in Grace's, which Grace's Discord is doing good. Steph also pointing out, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. That subscriber count is wrong, by the way. I don't know how it's gone backwards. But it's actually not even at that number. We're still at 2,910 or something like that. So we need about 90 more people to subscribe, which I think we'll get it once we start getting back into things. I mean, football's coming back. We're gonna get back into the shows. There'll be more news and stuff, and as we get closer to the end of the season and closer to the transfer window, stuff will pick up again, for sure. So that's all gonna be good. I will probably say this. What do? Because now I'm a bit confused. What day are we playing? We're playing on Tuesday. All right, fair enough. We play Tuesday. So, you know what? 9 likes. Grace says you could call me the Blackpool Batgirl. Ray says, Richard, hope you change your mind. You be missed. You share good values and vision about United as well. Yes, they will. I explained that to him, and I told him the community was asking for him, and they didn't want him to leave. But again, he's made his own choices, and nobody can force him. Yes, we are playing Tuesday, 8 p.m. GMT, which is 3 p.m. EST for me. So you know what? I'm gonna be fair. We'll keep it rolling. We will do a live stream tomorrow as well. I know the clocks have set for you. Back to normalcy, so we're back to the normal distance and time yet again. So we will probably do a live stream tomorrow at anywhere probably 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8:30 p.m. GMT, I assume. Um yeah. So we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll be back live. We'll probably do maybe like a slight preview for Nottingham Forest. We'll talk about any news um that comes out in between now and tomorrow. And then obviously we'll be back live for the Red Devil recap after the match on Tuesday. And then we'll go from there, and we'll see how it goes. So thank you guys for all tuning in. This was fun. I enjoyed building out the squad, but I think we built out a very good squad as well. And we had a very good discussion before building out the squad. Very good points. Excellent show today. Greatly enjoyed it. Anybody join us in Discord? Yes. If by the way, if anybody wants to join, I mean, Grace has her Discord, so you want. You can join us in there. We've been talking in there for now. Just general talk. We talk amongst each other until I get mine up and running. And then obviously you can stay in Grace's as well. She has a lot of different things in her Discord, and she has like different topics and channels within the Discord. So there's other stuff just outside of football that you could get into in her Discord. If she wants to share the Discord link, I don't have the link, but she can share that and put it in there. And if you guys want to join us in there temporarily, just for the football chat temporarily until we get ours up and running, and then we can be in both, and we'll coexist in both. But it'll serve two different purposes. Obviously, the RD one will be United and United news and football news. Grace has many other things in there as well to get involved in if those things interest you. So but it's good. Yeah, it's good to be in there too, because we can talk at any hours of the day, and we have some good discussions as well behind the scenes as well. So which is why I need to get mine up and running. Grace's Discord name is a girl named Grace. I don't think I have. I want to see if I could pull it up for you, Grace. I just throw the link in there would make it much easier for everybody else. For anybody that wants to join. Let's see if I grab it. Now. Oh. Nope. That's not it. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I don't know how to get the link to the server. Server settings, privacy settings. I have no clue. Try my best. Not working. I click invite people. It says or send a server invite link to a friend. When I hit copy, What am I trying to say? Just trying to say that there's many things in there that she has to offer, and there's different things, and maybe there's some other things that interest you that relate away from football. That's what I'm trying to say. I just can't remember. I know she has a ton of things. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I know there's one about Pokemon. There's quite a few things in there. So, yeah, there's some gaming elements in there, and stuff like that. I will say, I need you guys to please get in the comments after I end the show, which I'm about to do right now. And if you didn't smash the like button, please smash the like button. If you did, thank you very much. We need you to get in the comments. I'm not gonna give you a specific thing to say today. And Grace has put the link to the Discord. So anybody that's not in the Discord that wants to join the Discord, click that link. If you don't have Discord, download the Discord. Yes, Laia pointing out Randomonium is one of my favorites. That is one of the things in Grace's Discord. Click that link for the Discord. It'll take you there. If you don't have Discord, it'll probably prompt you to download Discord, and you can do that. Also, Grace, you could probably throw that in the comment under the show after I end it, just for anybody else that maybe it disappears from the chat. But guys, please do me one more favor. You guys have been fantastic as always. Please get in the comments, comment whatever you like. I know usually we do a secret kind of thing, but we got to cut this. It's a 3-hour stream, and we got to go, and I haven't eaten anything yet. So I got to go do that, and I got to go work out a little bit and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you guys for everything. I look forward to seeing your comments under the channel, because again, it helps us, and I love them, by the way. They're always fantastic. They make me laugh. So yes, we got excellent mods in the Discord, by the way. Cheeky from Lions there. But yeah, so we will be Lions has some of the best. Yes, there's also a thing called questions of the day in the Discord, and it's crazy fun. I missed it last time. I wasn't aware of that, but then I found out what it is. Steph says, great show, everyone. Get commenting. Yes. So great show. Thank you, guys. We'll be back live tomorrow. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Hope to see some of you that aren't in Grace's Discord join the Discord. We'll be talking probably after hours about some things. So we look forward to seeing you in there. And everybody else, have a good day, good night, good evening. Stay safe. We'll speak tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll get prepped and ready for United to come back and start playing in EPL football. So it's going to be good. Other than that, take care, and we will talk very, very soon.